Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. What a weekend. That Bills-Chiefs game, excellent. Excellent game. Thoroughly loved that. Steelers-Ravens, really telling, man. The Steelers just know how to win. It's ugly football, 6 field goals. You know, the quarterbacking is adequate. The offense is a little below average. But the defense is awesome, and they don't beat themselves. And they definitely know how to beat the Ravens. That's 7 of the last 8. That was very impressive. We'll get to the NFL, but we're going to start with college football this morning. Bad weekend for the Utes and Cougars. Great weekend for the Aggies. It's been a miserable, miserable season for Utah State. But they punished Hawaii 55-10. 7 sacks, 5 interceptions. I mean, the defense had a field day. And, 55 points, you know what the offense did. Here's interim coach Nate Dreiling after the game.
For you to have a day like today, I can't imagine what that locker room felt like.
Well, it's truly an outlier because when you're 2-7, no one plays hard. Everyone quits. It's just the easiest thing to do in life. But this group, it has no relevance on what's going on in the outside world. They come in smiling. They come in working hard. And if you keep that mindset, you're eventually going to turn the page. So they got to cash in all those chips today.
We commented about that. I think it was in the first quarter. You kind of got stymied a little bit in the run game, but then I think it was the third drive. You got the running game going just a little bit. Rasul breaks off about a 20-yarder down your sideline, and all of a sudden the entire bench, including all your defenders, come off the bench and start rallying around, and we thought, wow, we're on to something today. These guys are rallying and playing for each other. It was pretty cool to see.
I know. Anytime you can reveal toughness on a play, it's inspiring and it's contagious, and that's what Rasul did. He had a chance to run out of bounds, but declined that to run another guy over on his way to 191 yards on the day. So, man, it was a fun performance by the offense, defense, and special teams.
By the way, I'm not saying you should have done this. I'm just saying, were you guys aware that he was close to breaking the deuce, and did you think about giving him another carry or two?
Oh no, Scotty G, you got to win with class and lose with class. So we got to get him out and get some of these young guys in. But he has 2 more opportunities to break 200, and I wouldn't put it past him if he does it.
Did you see on film, Coach? I mean, your relentless pressure up front on Shager and the Hawaii quarterbacks was 7 sacks, just incredible over and over and over again, and none more impressive than they get the ball down to the 5-yard line, and you get 3 straight pressures, including 2 sacks to force the field goal.
Yeah, it was a great job by, we've kind of gotten pressure all year. We've just played a bunch of mobile quarterbacks, and these guys maybe aren't as athletic as the previous guys we've played. So, but a great job by those guys finishing, right? And now look what happens, And also leading to that, Kevin, is I think they had 14 yards rushing at halftime. When everyone in the stadium knows that you have to pass the ball, it's a lot easier to rush the passer. So you have to earn the right to rush the passer, and we did that today.
Your tight ends, you got Sturzer, who had 7 catches for 62 yards. Will Money, before he left with the injury, had 4 catches for 55 yards. So you got 11 catches and nearly 120 yards and 3 touchdowns with your tight ends. Was that was there a matchup there that Coach Steph liked, or where did that come from?
No, the matchup is Coach DJ versus any coach in the country and how he develops young tight ends. We lose a tight end that was a projected 4th-round draft pick, and we don't lose a beat. And he's playing a freshman now with Money. He's got Sturzer out there running routes instead of blocking. So he does an unbelievable job of bringing talent in and then developing talent, not just that, but men of high character. So that's hats off to Coach DJ and how he works.
You talked about giving up just the 14 yards rushing in the first half. I mean, this was a team that only averaged 102 yards rushing per game. But on the other side, they only gave up 136 yards rushing per game. Today, you go for 321 versus only 47. You gave up, and you had a hard time stopping the run all season long. Obviously, you just dominated that front 7 here this afternoon.
Man, so proud of Coach Batzlett with the O-line and Coach Douglas and Coach Zoo with the D-line and how well those guys performed. You always feel good about the game plan going into the games, and it just comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes and how you can match up. And I thought we played so physical and so inspiring up front. And, you rushed for 321 yards, man. You were doing something right at all levels. So unbelievable job by a lot of people today.
We've been talking about how good Herschel Turner is in the future at running back, but you also showcased another couple of youngsters in Nick Floyd and Derek Jamison. Those two ran the ball really hard as well.
Not just hard, man. They're explosive and fast. I think, the scary thing about our running back room, Scotty, is that any one of those guys, when they touch the ball, they can take it 80 yards, right? And I think that's how Coach Bill recruited those guys, and that's the type of offense that you want when you're handing the ball off. So really proud of those guys and kind of the next man up. You never know when you're called, and now Nick Floyd gets out there and makes a good run as well as Jamison. So fun for young players to get on the field and have success when they do.
Thought one of the biggest moments in this game, Spencer throws an interception over on the Hawaii sideline, and then 2 plays later, JV gets one right back for you guys. I thought that was a really key moment in this game.
Kevin, we've been there before. We were up 17-0 against New Mexico and muffed a punt, and the tide turned very quickly. So hats off to those guys responding, right? They've been so resilient at practice and in meetings, but it just hasn't shown up maybe as much as we'd be hoping on the field. But today it did, and that's what happens when you're mentally tough. You got a chance to stay in games, and you got a chance to put games away. That's what we're fortunate enough to do.
You know, you had Bryson, who played those first couple games of the year when Spencer was hurt, and he got some extra time today, and only completed 2 passes, but both of them were touchdowns. So that's a good touchdown to pass completion ratio that he had going on today. But as we look to the future, obviously you'd love to have Spencer back for another year. But what's the future hold for a Utah State team led by Bryson Barnes in 2025? Can Bryson Barnes be an effective Mountain West Conference quarterback week in and week out?
Isn't he so fun? Here's what Bryson is. Bryson is tougher than probably any player in the conference, maybe the country. You talked about his 2 passing touchdowns. How about his rush he had on 3rd and 3 when they had 7 guys up on the box and he just loaded his head and to get the first down.
The helicopter into the end zone to get called back.
Yeah, I'm bummed out that got called back because that should have been on every highlight package out there.
No. I'll tell you what. When you have an extremely tough quarterback, you are always in games, and everyone just thinks Bryson is only a runner. That's 100% not true. I think the sky's the limit for him, and he prepares probably harder than anybody on the team as a backup, which you don't really see. Every time I walk past the QB room, he's in there watching tape. So, man, he's got a bright future. And once again, when you're tough and you're at that quarterback spot, man, you're hard to beat.
You talked a little bit about Will Money. He had 4 catches for 55 yards, but then had to step out. What's the situation with Will? With Teague Anderson had to step out as well. Where are we at on the injury front?
Not for sure yet on Will. Still waiting to hear back. And Teague just got his bell rung a little bit, so we thought it'd be safe to just to hold him out at that point in the game.
But how good is his brother coming in? And my goodness, you had guys step up. How about Bryce Radford stepping in when Allo loses his helmet, and then down the stretch he's playing that center role? You had young guys stepping in and making plays here this afternoon.
Yeah, well, you got Maui going in for Poulet at center and did an unbelievable job, and then Radford got his chance and didn't miss a beat. So not to mention, like, George Malley played a huge role today. A bunch of twos that been rotating guys had a chance to really get out there and prove their worth, and man, did they capitalize on the opportunity.
Bronson Olivau, first person he brings up was how cool was it that Noah Flores, who's a walk-on, gets an interception. And these guys that bust their tail week in and week out, running, scout team or whatever the case is, and to be able to get out there and make a play and have their own highlight, I mean, just how cool is that to see as a coach that's in the trenches with these guys week in and week out?
I know. It's such a special moment. When you're fans, you see starters make plays, and that's about it. People don't understand that everyone on the team works just as hard at practice, conditioning, whether you're the starter playing 500 snaps a season or you're the 5th-string guy. You're still doing all the work. So for people to do that, put the work in behind the scenes, and then get on the field and have a chance to an opportunity to make the play and finish, it's just such a surreal moment. I'm so proud of those guys.
Sometimes you look at head-to-head matchups, and you look at what happened last week over in the islands. Just a 29-27 win for UNLV over this Hawaii team, and Hawaii had won 2 of their last 3, including a comeback win at Fresno State. And you kind of look at what they did at Washington State as well, and you're thinking this is a team, man, they're going to be out here fighting for bowl eligibility, because if they can win this one and then their home game in 2 weeks, they're there. You guys just took their heart away from them early on in this game and just kept the pedal to the metal. I'm just curious, as you knew they were going to try to make some adjustments at the half, you came out and put the pressure on Shager again and knocked him out of the game. I thought we had a fumble there. They end up punting it to you. You get the great punt return, and you're right back in the end zone. I thought that was another turning moment in this game.
Yeah, it goes back to the resilience talk. And back on Hawaii, I mean, Hawaii is a dang good middle-of-the-pack Mountain West team that can beat anybody. And I think people kind of lost sight of what's going on with this Utah State team. I mean, we lost our head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach in July. We had a player pass away a week after that. We played 3 Power 5 teams, 5 or 6 ranked teams all along. Probably lost in between 12 to 15 starters and 2 deep guys. I mean, we've had, I don't do much complaining, but we've had just about everything go wrong. And what makes this moment so special is that these guys don't care. They just continue to work and play hard for each other. And that's why we're going to enjoy this one. It's such a fun group, and they deserve all the success in the world. And I'm glad we got it done for them tonight.
Coach, I got to imagine, you and I, we talked after the Wyoming game, and, the food tastes a little bit better after a win. The bed feels a little bit more comfortable. It's a little easier to run conditioning when you're coming off a win. I got to imagine it's going to feel the same way, but what does this team need to do to carry this kind of performance next week when they take on San Diego State? Yeah,
it's reset. I think you're spot on, Scotty. Whether you win or whether you lose should have no relevance on how you prepare. And if that is your mindset, you're going to find success in life, whether it's the football or business world. It's all about getting up the next day until you continue to turn the page and make things happen. So that's what we plan to do.
Here's Utah State interim coach Nate Dreiling. He will join us live coming up this morning. He'll be with us at 7:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. When we come back, the Best of the Jazz post-game show. A couple games in California. The Kings and the Clippers last night. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. Good morning. DJ and PK proudly presented by our title sponsor, Black Desert Resort, Utah's premier golf resort. The Utah Jazz lose a couple games over the weekend. Very competitive in Sacramento. Went down to the final seconds, but they lost, which is what most of you want. And then they got beat again by the Clippers, and that was not a good effort. I mean, they were down 10 after a quarter and 21 at the half. 23 was the biggest deficit in the third quarter. Big rally in the fourth quarter, too little too late. They got within 7. Can't quit and roll over and get beat by 40, I guess, is the silver lining there. But, man, after winning 3 out of 5 and scaring people, a couple of clutch losses to get back where they belong, right, in the race to the bottom and the best odds possible in the draft lottery. Let's get to the Best of the Jazz post-game show now.
Jazz fall last night to the L.A. Clippers in Los Angeles, 116-105. Jazz coming off the second night of a back-to-back, losing in Sacramento on Saturday in a hard-fought game. Didn't come out with a lot of energy. Had trouble scoring, certainly in the first half. A little bit better effort in the second half, but by that point, the Clippers win going away, as I mentioned, 116-105. Let's get to the post-game sound and start things off with Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
Turnovers and the rebounding was ultimately the difference in the game as a whole. They got 15 more shots than we did, which is a hard number to overcome, but protecting the paint in the first half was where it got away from us defensively. Offensively, the turnovers in the first half and their ball pressure was really disruptive. But I'm really proud of the second half. I think that felt like who we want to be. It's not about the fact that we won the second half. It's the tempo, the force, the physicality, the communication, the way the ball really started to move around in the second half was who we want to be as a team. Another night where we had a variety of lineups out there, but I think that the thing we're trying to emphasize every night is you have to compete if you want to play. That's a non-negotiable. There's technical things that can be learned and trained and corrected, and those are things that coaches are excited to do and ready to do. But we don't want to have to coach effort. We don't want to have to coach competitiveness. And I think that our team, for the most part, this year has found a way collectively to play hard every night. And I thought the second half really represented that. So continuing to build on that, there were, a bunch of guys who got good opportunity tonight, which I'm sure you guys will ask about. But the the young players are continuing to learn what's expected of them, and the veteran players are continuing to be really supportive of those guys and help them in the games.
I will ask about that. Isaiah had his season high in minutes tonight. What did you like about his play, and why did you give him those minutes?
Yeah, I thought Isaiah was physical defensively. I thought that he really moved the ball on offense, and I thought that he dictated the pace of the game for us. Isaiah is incredibly fast in the full court, and he keeps his head up and passes the ball early, and it generates this environment where everybody knows number one, they have to get out and run if they want a chance to be in the play, and number two, they're excited to get out and run because they know that if they're open, they'll get it. And I think that Isaiah did a really good job, guarding the ball, being physical off the ball, and then the way that he was able to help generate our pace going from defense to offense, I thought really sparked the energy of the team in the second half. And that group that was out there we thought was playing really well, and so we let them ride it out. Isaiah has had a bunch of games where he hasn't played a ton, but when you get a young player in a good rhythm, you want to let them ride it out and feel that. And so, he got extended minutes. This is the most that Cody's played in a couple of games. I thought Cody played with a little more assertiveness tonight, and those things are going to continue to be rewarded. We're never trying to punish the young players by not playing them extended minutes, but we do want to create an environment where it does feel like it's earned. You'll get the initial opportunity, but to get the second opportunity in a game, that's going to be determined by your play. And I thought both those guys did a great job tonight.
Yeah, when it comes to Cody, what was the message after last night's game to him after only playing 11 minutes? And how do you keep that confidence going when he's not getting those?
Yeah, I don't talk to Cody after every game. I don't talk to all the young players after every single game. I do check-ins with them. It's not like I avoid them. I don't want you guys to think that I walk by them with my head down. But we don't have a meeting about, hey, let's talk about last night and talk about what's happening tonight. He knows what's expected of him, and he works with our assistant coaches every day, and they're showing him a lot of individual film, and he sees the team film and here's the messaging. I try not to make things feel bigger than they are. I think if you get into a habit of, I feel like if I get into a habit of talking to all of them after every game, we start to create kind of drastic emotional reactions, good or bad. And so I'll check in with Cody every couple of games and do a mini debrief there. So I didn't really say much to Cody as it relates to tonight's game. It's about the same things. Go out, focus on these few things, and try to be assertive when you do it.
I don't want to make assumptions about what you're saying, but kind of the implication, the way that it sounds is that, Isaiah was playing really hard. He starts the second half and Keontae doesn't. So was there an issue with effort with Keontae tonight?
I wasn't happy with Keontae's defense in the first half. Keontae knows how much I believe in him, but sometimes you have to make changes in the moment to reinforce your point. It doesn't have to be a big thing, a big yelling, screaming thing. And I felt like for the team tonight, Isaiah starting the second half would give us a little bit of a boost, and I thought it did. And I thought Keontae had a great second half himself. So, like I said in the open, it's never meant to punish anyone or make it like we're pointing the finger at one person. That's not it at all, but we're trying to create really good habits, and when you have a lot of young players that are getting opportunity, there are moments where you have to make sure that they understand that you don't just get to play. you don't just get 30 minutes because everybody assumes you're going to get 30 minutes. Like, that's not how this league works. Keontae wasn't the only part of the first half that I thought wasn't very good. But the switch at halftime was what we did. And we'll just move forward from tonight's game.
Two check-ins from pregame. One, did Chris Dunn ever trash talk you during tonight's game?
He did some celebration when he made a three. I don't know if it wasn't directed at me, though. It was kind of directed at everybody. No, he was actually pretty tame tonight.
Okay. And then two, what did you end up thinking of the wall? It was kind of a sparse crowd tonight, but.
Yeah, I didn't think much about it. There's a lot going on in the arena during the game, I would say that. But I didn't particularly focus on the wall, not because of any reason other than I'm kind of focused on, I have a lot going on in my brain during the game.
There is Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Interesting answer to the question about us going with Isaiah Collier at the beginning of the second half instead of Keontae George. Let's now move on to the players and hear from Lauri Markkanen.
I didn't really feel a difference with the scoreboard thing. And, I mean, obviously it's very clear. You have everything that you need to look at, so that was nice. And lights were probably the only thing when I was, like, under the rim, I noticed, like, through the rim, I saw there was, like, a very bright light. So it was, like, it's hard to see the rim. But that was only if you were standing right below the rim. But in the game, like, it didn't matter. But that's the only thing I noticed in warm-ups.
And Will makes a change coming out of halftime when playing Isaiah instead of Keontae with you guys in the starting lineup. Does that send a message at all, or what do you think when you see kind of a change like that?
Yeah, probably. At the same time, we were playing really well in the first half and tried to pick up the intensity and just make a little change. And I don't know if there was some talks with those guys, but went a little different direction. I think Isaiah played really hard and he played well, and that's what we need. And we need that from everybody for trying to get that desperation of what we play with second half, trying to get that as close to 48 minutes as we can, and that's really the thing. And I think that's what was going on, just trying to switch things up and see what's working.
What does Isaiah do for the offense?
Sets other guys up, and obviously he always plays hard and really competes, and so he can make a lot of good reads, and that's good to see as a rookie guard coming in that he sees and tries to facilitate for other guys and stuff like that. So.
When you do see a change like that happen, but you guys are still able to come out in that fourth quarter the way you guys do, what did that say about your team, and what was it like to just see that fight, no matter what happened in the first half?
Yeah, like I said, I think it was last game that we have that fight in us, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve, that we're looking for that full game of that desperation and playing hard. And there's going to be mistakes, that's basketball, but really have that competitive edge throughout the whole game. And I think we did a much better job in the second half, and obviously it's not easy to do for the full game, but that's what we're after. So.
That's Lauri Markkanen, 18 points, 10 boards, a double-double from Lauri last night. Let's now move on to Isaiah Collier.
I feel like, it was their second half. I feel like if we did that half of the game, we would have won that game. So, I think that's just, a lesson to all of us. We got to do that from the start. And, the outcome could be ours, for sure.
Your ability to come out, and you come out in the second half, but also your ability to see on the court, your vision, passing, things like that. I mean, what have you been able to see these last couple games?
Definitely the spacing for sure. I feel like, the NBA, it's a lot of spacing. So, just making simple reads, little things like that, and I feel like, show second half for sure.
What message do you feel like you're getting when you're inserted into the starting lineup for the second half?
Do what I got to do to help the team. I think that's the message for everybody, to be honest. I mean, we know, who our scorers are. We know, where the ball needs to go and things like that. So, I mean, doing those little things, I think that definitely helped second half. Cut it single digits. We was down, 23, something like that. So, I mean, if we do that, for the whole game, I feel like, we could win a lot of these games for sure.
Do you feel like maybe there's, is it a boost of trust that it's like you were playing hard and now you get to start the second half?
I mean, coach put me out there, so I mean that's definitely a sign, I guess, for sure, just from him trusting me, and him believing in me. So I mean, I'll just do what I had to do, to help the team, and looking forward to whenever my name's called, just doing what I got to do to help the team. So yeah.
That's Isaiah Collier, the rookie. He played a career-high 26 minutes last night, 4 points, but had 8 assists and 3 rebounds in those 26 minutes. But the Jazz fall to the Clippers 116-105. Up next, the Jazz will be in L.A. again tomorrow night to take on the Lakers, Game 2 of their NBA Cup. That game will tip off at 8:30. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30.
There's the Best of the Jazz post-game show. DJ and PK, a reminder, don't miss your chance to win big every week on The Zone. This week on Win Ticket Wednesday, you can win a pair of tickets to see the Goo Goo Dolls at Dashboard Confessional in their summer anthem tour at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 26th. Listen to The Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. When we come back, post-game thoughts from the Utes and Cougars. We'll hear from Kyle Whittingham and Kalani Sitake after they both go down to defeat. That's next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Well, the Utes have lost again. That is 6 straight. I don't think you were surprised. We all knew Colorado had the better team, and the Utes had a chance to hang around there if they'd stop kicking field goals, but the red zone's been a problem. You got a true freshman quarterback with Isaac Wilson, so even when they got short fields off turnovers, they settled for field goals, and Colorado pulls away and wins 49-25. Here's Kyle Whittingham after the game.
That's a very good football team that we played today. Coach Sanders done a great job of getting that thing put together. I don't think there's any doubt it's the best team we've played this year. Certainly the best group of receivers, best quarterback. Quarterback's terrific. The receivers as a group they got superstar in there obviously, but as a group they're really good. And so credit them for the win. As bad as things were, we still had a chance there in the fourth quarter. We got that turnover and had momentum and in their territory and proceeded to turn the ball over again. We had 4 turnovers, tough to win. Turning the ball over 4 times. If you want to know what our main deficiencies were, it was that and the inability to run the football. We didn't run the ball anywhere near where we needed to. Disappointing. Defense, we did some good things, got 3 takeaways. Still lost the turnover margin, -1, but we didn't tackle particularly well enough. And those athletes they got over there are a big reason for that. I don't want to discount their ability and their skill because it's a great group. They've put together an outstanding group. So as bad as things are, still 2 games away from a bowl bid. I mean, that's something right there that our guys, first of all, they're together. They work hard. There's no lack of preparation Monday through Friday. They're focused. We just can't find a win. That's where we're at. Didn't do ourselves any favors on special teams. Let the punt return for a touchdown. That's 2 weeks in a row. We've had a return for a touchdown against us, which is not ideal. And so, we got certainly enough to work on to keep us busy. But again, I'll say it again: credit those guys, their coach, their coaching staff, and they're a really good football team. So, questions?
With the running issue, is that more offensive line? Is it the running back has to envision? Or where are you?
I think just from watching it, we didn't get any knockoff on the offensive line. No push inside. And you got to get push inside to open up some creases, and they played very tough at the line of scrimmage, and really couldn't get anything going.
Kyle, this is, from my reckoning, I could be wrong, your first time as a head coach having a 6-game losing streak.
Right now I'm in the twilight zone, so I guess that could be. I don't know. it's the most difficult year of my coaching career, hands down, not even close. I can tell you that. If that makes you feel better, maybe not. I don't know.
In terms of this program and the state that it's in, what do you feel like needs to change when you look at the course of it?
Well, we've got to get, today was the run game, but we got to get better overall throwing the football. And really, defensively, if you just look at sheer numbers, prior to this game, number one in total defense, number one in scoring defense, number one in third down defense. And we're doing a lot of good things. Now that's probably going to suffer after this game, but our main issues this year have been on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, there's no secret about that, and we just got to keep recruiting. That's number one. Keep recruiting players and try to get things solved. But we're just not potent enough on offense. And again, if you look just statistically, as good as we are in D, we're that far down the ladder on offense in those statistical categories.
Coach, you started off the game really great with
Yeah.
Z, but then there was that part. But fourth quarter, what did you see that started to get put together for you and moving the ball, and what was happening that changed the game?
Isaac got a little bit of a rhythm there for a minute and was connected on some passes, getting the ball out quicker, going through his read progression quicker. The protection was a little bit better for a period of time. And so I would say that was the reason for that production spurt that we had there. And you mentioned we had the interception early, which was great, but we didn't capitalize. Had to settle for a field goal. So that's, in fact, the first three trips that we got deep in their territory, we had to settle for field goals each time. That's, and again, we've talked about that throughout the course of the year, that it's tough to win games if you're settling for field goals.
Did Isaac practice this week?
He practiced about half the week. Yeah, he was. We didn't know if he was going to be able to play up until probably last night. We had an indication that he was turning the corner and going to be able to function. And so, give him credit. He fought, he battled, and he was not feeling like his usual self, but he hung in there.
Where do you feel like Isaac needs to improve to kind of progress?
Well, we need to get the completion percentage up. We need to get the interceptions down. That's a starting point. We're still, right around 50% completion, and too many interceptions.
Did you feel like he was, going through his reads a little faster, a little better in that second half?
Yes, yeah, he started to get a little, like I said, a little bit of a rhythm for a little stretch of time there, and just a freshman, he's learning. I mean, he's learning as we go, and he's a guy that does not lack confidence. My guess is he'll come back. He's a resilient kid. He'll come back and get ready for the next one.
There's Utah football coach Kyle Whittingham. So the Utes lose in the morning, the Cougars lose at night. Here is wide receiver Chase Roberts. After the 17-13 loss, and like the Utes, the Cougars not good enough in the red zone. Settling for a couple field goals, getting stopped on downs in the red zone, throwing an interception in the red zone. Here's Chase Roberts after the game.
Got to ask about why the red zone offense is struggling so much.
Yeah, that's a good question. We can't score in the red zone. I feel like we struggled a little bit in practice this week in the red zone, and it carries over. You got to lock in. You got to be prepared when you come out and play a good team like Kansas. And we knew we had to put points on the board, and if we didn't score in the red zone, then we'd have a tough time winning because Kansas has a great offense. So I think just some mental errors, some mistakes, especially when we got down to the red zone. Too many of those. And when you make mistakes, it's hard to win. So we need to minimize those, lock in this week, and practice better with more urgency, and get in the film room, learn from our mistakes, and then move on and grow. So that's all I got.
Chase, so many times you guys have had these dramatic come-from-behind victories when you're in the huddle, 70 yards away. Did you kind of have that same feeling like, all right, we're going to do this again?
Yeah, of course, but we need to stop that. We need to start beating teams by 20 points, 30 points, because that's the kind of offense we have. That's the kind of team we have. And we should have this game. And it was frustrating that we couldn't convert and couldn't get points on the board in the red zone. And we got to learn from our mistakes, learn what we can do better as an offense, and make better decisions as well as we're in the red zone, and make better reads, run better routes as receivers, make sure we get our depth and stuff like that. So, but we'll go back, watch the film, and learn and grow. I think this is honestly good for our team. So we still got all of our goals in mind, and we're gonna bounce back and go beat Arizona State.
It looked like Jake checked out of that play on 3rd and 6. Were there 2 play calls on it or just one?
We always have checks on our plays. So, yeah, just depending on the look that the defense gives us, we can check out of something. And Jake saw a look, and he checked out of it. And we just got to execute. Honestly, if we execute our plays, they're great play calls. We trust in A-Rod and what he's got dialed up for us. We just got to execute, make our blocks, and that's what we didn't do tonight. So,
on the 4th down play, did you just not have time to get to the sticks? And it looked like
he was inside leverage. I'm the first read. I need to do a better job of getting to the sticks, and he was inside leverage, and I could have wrapped him. I need to go back and look at the film and get. If I wrapped him, maybe I could have got to the sticks, and who knows if I could have shook him and got open. But I need to do a better job at making sure I get the first down and getting us in a, where we can score and win the game. So, but we just got to go look back at the film, like I said, and learn from all of our mistakes from the whole game. And it shouldn't be that close in the first place. So, but we'll learn and grow and come back next week.
What gives you confidence that this loss won't turn into a second one? You guys think that's that quick?
That's just the kind of team we are. I feel like we love each other, and the speech after the game was positive. We're moving on, and we're not going to come back and bring negative energy to our families. We're going to be happy, and we're going to come back Monday with some fire. We still got our goal is to win a Big 12 championship. So that's not over. We're not independent anymore. We're in a conference, and we're beating good teams, and we're going to come back and beat Arizona State, which is a great team. So that's was the talk in the locker room, and that's what we're going to do, and that's what I trust our team will do. We're mature, and you've seen it this whole season, that we're a mature team. We bounce back from adversity, and we win games. That's what we do. So couldn't do it tonight, but we'll move on.
Do you feel like defenses have caught up to what the offense is trying to do? Are they throwing wrinkles at you that are making it hard to execute just because the points haven't been there the last couple weeks?
I just think that we're not executing. I think that we have a great game plan. We knew what Kansas was going to do, and they did what we thought they were going to do. We just need to execute our plays and block and be physical and make the right reads. And we were unable to do that tonight. We weren't able to score in the red zone. You saw big bursts of our offense was rolling, especially at the end of the second half. We had some drives that were awesome. And if we can just put those together, we're going to win by a lot of points.
There's Chase Roberts after the game. Here's the head coach, Kalani Sitake.
Obviously disappointing result, but you have to give a lot of credit to Kansas. They had a really good game plan, and looking at the stats and everything, we just didn't make enough plays and way too many mistakes for us to come out with the victory. I think we played with fire in some ways in terms of like the mistakes that we made are way too many, and couldn't come back from them. So frustrated, but we got to get over it. We got to learn from this, and we got to move on. And we got a tough game coming up next week. So I think the goal from the beginning was to play at our best, every week, and obviously the statement 10 was not the one that we wanted. And this happens sometimes, and I think we haven't played our best and being able to bounce back and find a way to win. This one didn't work, and so we've got to go back and get to work, stay humble, stay hungry, all that stuff, and get ready to go. I told the players that love them. I mean, the effort was there. We obviously got to make more plays in all three phases, but the mistakes were way too many for us to overcome. And but this is a difficult feeling. We just got to find a way to learn from it and get over it and move on to the next, and and find ways to keep improving. So that's what we're gonna do before we head out to Tempe next week. But I thought Kansas played a great game. Looking at the stats, I didn't think we had 10 more first downs than them, and the glaring mistakes was the muffed punt that was a QB kick from them. And it hit our player in the head, and thought we had a chance to recover it, and that didn't work out. And so gave him the ball like on the 3-yard line, which is a gimme. When I think we had a 13-10 lead, that was a problem. So didn't like the way we ended the first half. Obviously didn't like the way we ended the game too. So, but there's a lot of room for improvement in all three phases, and we'll get to work on that. But got a really good team. Really, we're still in a good spot. I believe we control our own destiny still, but we've got to be ready to roll because that's a tough opponent coming up next week against ASU, and they've done a great job getting their team ready, and they're in the. I think they win the game too. So there's a lot of parity in this conference, and this one got us when the I say the mistakes, but you have to give a lot of credit to Kansas. They did some really good things, but we'll just keep plugging away. So we're in a spot now at 9-1, and if you had told me before the season, would you take it? Of course. But, this is – we still have an opportunity. For me, we have an opportunity to still play for something with a conference championship, and so that's what we need to focus on. And this is a good example to get better and get to the next week game, and then away we go. So what questions do you guys have for me?
Why was the offense so bad?
What was that?
What were the issues offensively in the red zone?
Yeah, it just didn't seem like it was clicking, a lot of mistakes, and just seemed like we got a lot of yards, and the run game was working pretty nicely. The turnovers at the end of the half cost us. Settling for field goals isn't going to work either, and then offensively, and obviously the way we ended the half and ended the game, not good enough. So we got to fix it. We got to figure it out. Defense didn't start the game out right. A lot of it was just a lot of mistakes that we made. I mean, I think Kansas did some things with their technique. I mean, they're trying to scheme a lot of the stuff that we're doing defensively with the personnel, and they did a couple odd looks, with the duck formation, stuff like that. But you have to give them credit, man. I thought they did whatever they could to try to take care of the ball as much as they could. We didn't create enough havoc, and didn't. I think. They ran for 73 yards, but we just need to find more ways to make plays. But offense got to score more points. Field goals, we made some good field goals. We're not able to take advantage of the return game, but we got to score more points to win games.
Kalani, did on 3rd and 6 there at the end, did Jake check out of that play? And what was the play supposed to be, or do you even know?
The 3rd and 6 before the 4th down in the red zone.
3rd and 6, you ran. It looked like the speed option pitch to Hinckley.
To the boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he audibled out of the play, and then it's just you got to get the ball in the end zone. You can't have it come down to the wire and 4th down. And then we had a false start, and thought we had a really good play on that one, and then it became 4th and 10. Now we're too far. I think Chase was a couple yards short of the 1st down, so just get in the end zone. I don't really care how much time's left on the clock. Obviously, they were taking timeouts to preserve some time for when they get the ball back, but we got to get the lead before we can even worry about that stuff. We weren't worried about the clock. We just need to get the ball in the end zone.
What did you see on that muff punt? Was it just a bad, unlucky bounce?
Yeah, it was. It was a couple unlucky bounces. One that hit, I think it was Evan Johnson was in coverage and hit him in the head, and then Jacob Robinson was right there, and I thought he had a clear path to just recover it, and for some reason it popped out of his hands, and they got the ball at the 3-yard line. So, sucks, But I think that happens. That's why the ball is shaped like that, to make things interesting. It just bit us in the butt this time, So. I hate that happened because defensively I thought we kept them out of the end zone except for that one time. And, this game was 10-10 at halftime. We'd lost the second half 7-3. So, and if you look at the stats, I thought we made some march down the ball and had some long drives and where we'd get some first downs, but the red zone offense did not work for us. And so we just have to be better. And so that's obviously we're going to look at it and try to figure it out. But you think that from what our defense did, it should be enough to get points on the board. But I know Jay Hill's not happy with how we played because we felt like we could have done better. So all three phases we can improve on. But the guys are hurting right now. They're supposed to. But we got to get over it. Just like we have to get over the wins, we got to find ways to be humble and not get down on ourselves too much. because we're in a really good spot still, you know. So I think with what we've done throughout the year, we've earned the right to feel better now, and we just got to play better next week. We just won't get this one back, so we just got to find a way to play better next week, and whatever it takes, we got to get it done.
In that timeout before the punt with Jalen Daniels, did you guys talk about the possibility that he could kind of back up and punt?
Yeah, well, we thought they were just going to go for it, you know, because he's got. I mean, that's what they've done in the past. So I haven't seen him kick that QB kick. So yeah, and then he just kicked it. I mean, we have an Aussie kicker who can actually kick it to someone like that, but I don't know if he's going to punt more now. But maybe they should. It just caught us by surprise, and even after the punt, I mean, we just had a chance to recover. Sometimes things like that happen. You just got to get a stop, you know. So when they get the ball on the 3-yard line, I don't like that we just played average defense and still gave up an easy touchdown, you know. So when things go bad, you got to respond better than that. And I thought we were in a good spot even to win the game at the end, but we didn't do enough. And you have to give Kansas a lot of credit for that. They came motivated to win this game, and I mean their backs are against the wall. We knew we were going to get their best shot. I'm not sure if we gave them ours, but it's too late now, you know. So wish them luck next week. I think they play Colorado, so you know, we'll be cheering for them, but we got to worry about ourselves and get ready to play this game against Arizona State.
Last couple of questions. Coming out of the halftime break, was it by design to have a kind of a methodical drive, eat up a lot of clock? Is that what the plan was?
I think we just were trying to score no matter what, but I think we wanted to establish a run game and just play some physical football. They did that to us last year, you know, just run the ball, and we felt really good about the run. Then it stalled, and we're stuck at, I think it was like 4th and 3 or so, and wanted to go for it, but then, you know, felt like we should just take the points because it seemed it was a low-scoring game. We have a really good kicker, and so we just took the points, and you know, unfortunately, those were the only points we scored in the half.
Anything else? What's the message? I mean, you touched on this, but after a loss, now you have to go back to that and see them. So how do you see how the boys respond to this? What are you looking for? Yeah, I mean, we obviously gotta refocus and you gotta learn from the game. But you're gonna have to overcome the feelings of, like, you know, regret and wish that you could do it over again. You got to just get over it. That's life. I think there's so much that happens in life that don't go your way. You just got to find a way to respond better, and we're going to choose to do it with our heads up high and know that we have a lot more to play for still. I mean, this isn't the end. But, you know, if we're to taste defeat, this is you just got to. I believe that you got to just learn from it, and I don't think I can sugarcoat it for these guys. It's supposed to hurt. You know, especially when you know you could do better, it's supposed to hurt. And this is a huge obstacle. This is a roadblock, but we'll be okay. We'll fight back from it, and we still have a lot to play for. There's still a lot. We still control our destiny, and it doesn't really matter. We just got to get back to getting to work and winning next week's Super Bowl. That's going to be the key.
How concerned are you with the offense right now? Only one touchdown or 2 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. How concerned going forward are you with that?
Yeah, I mean that's something that needs to improve, and I'm more concerned with lack of production when we're in the scoring area. And so yeah, that needs to get better.
BYU football coach Kalani Sitake calling the game next weekend, the Super Bowl. Hey, catch 1st and 12 Sundays from 10 to noon on The Zone. It's brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Get the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your favorite local brands. Macy's, happy shopping. What is trending? The headlines. Next, stay with us.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Isaiah has had a bunch of games where he hasn't played a ton, but when you get a young player in a good rhythm, you want to let them ride it out and feel that. And so, you know, he got extended minutes. You know, this is the most that Cody's played in a couple of games. I thought Cody played with a little more assertiveness tonight. Those things are going to continue to be rewarded. We're never trying to punish the young players by not playing them extended minutes, but we do want to create an environment where it does feel like it's earned. You'll get the initial opportunity, but to get the second opportunity in a game, that's going to be determined by your play.
That's Will Hardy on who gets to play and who doesn't, and rewarding young players. The Jazz lost a pair of games over the weekend, a close one with the Sacramento Kings that went right down to the wire, and a blowout to the Clippers that they made look better in the fourth quarter, but they ran 23 in the third. They lose them both. That was mostly about Keontae George without using the words Keontae George there. Now, he ended up playing 34 minutes, but he didn't start the second half, PK. His defense wasn't good enough, so earn more minutes, although he played 34 in the end anyway.
I don't know that he's going to play much more than that. I agree with what Will's saying, and I think that's important, but I also hope that it's not simply based on whether the shots go in. Cody Williams got his 20 minutes. How much of that is because he went 3 of 5 and 2 of 3 from 3? Now, he had 4 rebounds, he had a block shot, and that was cool, and then he followed it up with 3. But I like the word assertive, because assertive doesn't necessarily mean that the shot goes in and you were hot that night. You're in a course of 82, shots are not going to go in. And some nights they're going to go in, and you could be as lazy as can be, but you're going to make shots. I like that he used the word assertive in that. That's what we got to see from Williams. Williams has got to get out there, and he's so young, man. He looks, in a way, younger than Exum, who I thought was the youngest-looking player the Jazz had ever had. And to me, Williams looks younger at times than Exum did. And so I understand all about that. Hayward's body was a twig, and in a few years he looked like a muscle man type of guy. But he played a couple years at college. Williams didn't, and then he was injured a lot during his first year. So and Hayward was the man at Butler. Williams was never close to the man at Colorado. He had 2 other guys in the NBA on his team, and so he played took a back seat the entire season. So he does seem timid at times, and that's why I like that Hardy used the word assertive.
Don't defer. Be assertive. Youngest looking Jazz guy, C.J. Miles, coming straight out of high school. Deshaun Stevenson came straight out of high school, but his body was a little more mature. C.J. was a twig, like Gordon Hayward. And like Cody.
Yeah, but C.J. was a second-round pick, wasn't he? So, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of expectation there.
Jazz in L.A. with the day off today. They will play the Lakers tomorrow night, 8:30 late tip for that game. DJ and PK.
#NBA.
The Cleveland Cavaliers do it again. A perfect 15-0 start to the season after they beat the Charlotte Hornets 128-114. I know they have a much anticipated game in Boston with the Celtics tomorrow night, but 15-0 to open the season, PK. That is a heck of a start.
I did not know that.
Yep. Prepare for that tomorrow night.
Okay.
No Kevin Durant. Booker's 44 goes to waste. Suns push the Timberwolves, but can't beat them. Minnesota gets the win, 120-117.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
No Bradley Beal either, for that matter, for that team. Crazy.
Only one of their quote-unquote big 3.
Joe Ingles had the unusual stat line of 0 minutes and 1 assist.
He got 20 seconds and they wouldn't round up? He came in, made an inbounds pass for a hoop or something?
The last one.
Nice.
I think it was. So he never actually was on the floor.
He just stood out of bounds,
Yeah.
threw the ball in with a pinpoint pass, and hey,
yeah,
we're good.
I saw that somewhere, and then I looked it up. I called it up right now. Minute 0, assists 1, and it was the Randall 3, so it's plus minus plus 3.
So he didn't even get 20 seconds. just threw it in.
Yeah, that's a statistical oddity for sure.
Big time. Randall hits the 3. Timberwolves get the win. The Grizzlies beat the Nuggets 105-90. You ever wonder what Denver would look like without the MVP? Well, there you go. No Joker, no W. They were down 20 going to the 4th. Memphis handles them easily. How good are the Rockets?
They're great.
Statistically,
never underestimate the heart of a champion.
That's an old school line. Rockets 10-4 after beating the Bulls 143-107. Bulls have given up 140 points in back-to-back games, and they're playing a lick of defense. DJ and PK.
#college basketball.
Utes led by 11 at halftime, but they lose to Mississippi State 78-73. They dropped to 3-1 after 3 money games. They play another team from a power league and end up losing by 5.
Matson was 1 of 10 on 3. When he's hoisting that 10th 3,
yep.
What level of confidence do you think he has?
I don't know, but that's the one that went in, wasn't it? It's either the 9th one or the 10th one. I think it was the 10th one.
It was the 10th, yeah.
It was the last one.
Yeah.
This one will go in, and it did.
Good for him.
Yeah. Got him within 2.
He's got to play well. I mean, he's their veteran. It seems like he's been there 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think that if I'm looking at one guy for that team that they need game in, game out type of thing, it's him.
Weber State had the lead at Hawaii, but UH rallies, forces overtime, and beats Weber State 73-68. Blaze threat, a game-high 27 points for the Wildcats. Didn't go out for a tournament, just went out for one game. That's unusual, but they drop it in overtime. BYU won on Saturday. They blew out Idaho 95-71. Tonight, Utah State hosts Montana, 7 o'clock. Listen to Scotty G with the pregame at 6:30 on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Play fakes, set up the throw, launches to the end zone. Puka, diving catch. He's got it.
What a
touchdown, LA.
Goff takes the direct snap, fakes the give, sets in the pocket, steps up, looks, throws. It is complete. There goes J-Mo right side. He's got the angle to the end zone. 25-20, 15-10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. J-Mo flies into the end zone, and the Lions extend their lead.
Taysom again. This time left side. We get to the outside. 25, 30. Taysom on his feet. 40. Taysom's going to go down the sideline. 40, 30. Taysom 20, 10. What a day. See you later. Bye. Taysom Hill. Guess what? He didn't step out of bounds. Nothing. 75 yards.
Gets the snap. Looks. Steps up. Gonna run. 10, 5. Gino. Touchdown. Seahawks. Holy catfish. Fakes the throw. Allen going to step up in the pocket. Now he's going to take it and run, and he's got the first down and more. 10, 5, and muscles his way into the end zone for an unbelievable 26-yard touchdown run. Are you kidding me?
The Buffalo Bills beat Kansas City. The last undefeated team in the NFL falls. That was Josh Allen going 26 yards on 4th and 2. You had to like that, PK. They could have kicked a field goal, and then Mahomes has almost 2 minutes to go the length of the field, and a touchdown wins the game. So let the offense win it, and he not only got the 2 yards, he got 26 for the score. Aggressive call at the end.
Yeah, I do like that philosophy. Don't give the ball back to just a phenomenal player, and you end up losing by 2 or 3 if they go for, I guess, 4 if they won. I don't know, whatever. But that was the right move, and Josh Allen's a really good player, you know. I like what McDermott, the coach, said afterward. No statement. This isn't the finish line. It's a big game, but it's November. You know.
And there's a history of that in this series. I think the Bills are now 4-1 against the Chiefs in the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes era in the regular season, but they're 0-3 against them in the postseason. Been bounced 3 times in 4 years. So got to beat them again in the playoffs probably. No reason to talk a big game now. We know that's looming out there, and it's been a problem for you in the past.
Yeah, but Buffalo's a really good team, and you're right. They've eliminated the Chiefs have eliminated the Bills 3 out of the last 4. So yeah, that's something that you need to get if it comes to pass at that time, and if it does, then that'll just be a
massive game.
Yeah, in the playoff. I don't know how it'll be set up. Maybe it
right.
would be the final before the Super
Bowl. It could
Bowl.
be the AFC Championship game. There's another team that could have something to say about that. Looking at you, Pittsburgh Steelers. They broke your field goal rule. Steelers kicked 6 field goals, beat the Ravens 18-16. The Steelers hit all 6 of their free field goals. The Ravens were 1 of 3. And the Ravens had a 2-point conversion to tie right at the end of the game, and that play was a complete mess. They lost the line of scrimmage, and Lamar Jackson started running left, and nothing good was going to come out of that. Steelers hold on to win 18-16. They beat the Ravens again. They always seem to beat the Ravens. That's 7 of the last 8. They lead the division by a game and a half. And like the Bills, they are 8-2. I don't think their quarterback play is anywhere near as good. Their offense is a little below average. Quarterback play is adequate at best, but Defense and special teams, and they find a way to win. They're 8-2.
Yep.
Didn't even need a TD. Your Geno Smith getting the late touchdown run. 20-17, they beat the Niners. Your Cardinals are 6-4. Everybody else in the division is 5-5.
I wish I owned them.
That'd be cool. Bidwell owns him. He inherited it from checks notes. Bidwell, yeah, passing
Greatest
that
form of way to get money. Inherit it.
There's no better way. The Detroit Lions, yikes. Goff throws 4 touchdown passes. You don't see blowouts like that in the NFL. That's more of a college thing. 52-6 over Jacksonville with the Jaguars not having their quarterback. Not that would have saved the day in a 52-6
That
loss.
was an early blowout, too.
Trevor Lawrence standing over on the sideline. Yeah, it was 28-6 at the half. And they kept piling it on. Vikings are also 8-2. That is the Lions and the Chiefs are 9-1, and then you got a handful of teams at 8-2, including Minnesota. They handled Tennessee easily. No problem there. You're Taysom Hill, 3 touchdowns. Now I know we're not impressed by 6-yard runs from Taysom anymore, but touchdown runs of 10 and 33 and 75 yards. 138 yards rushing on 7 carries. Awesome, even by his standards.
It's awesome, yeah, but it's not surprising. I'm not surprised. It's awesome, yes, absolutely, 100% it's awesome.
But you will not be surprised by Taysom.
He didn't leap over tall buildings on that long run. He went right around the end there, and it seemed like about 30 yards into it, he was jogging.
No, he was absolutely. I'm glad you said that. He was jogging at the 30-yard line. I totally thought that.
He got so far ahead of everybody.
I got this in third gear. I don't need to sprint.
Right.
I'm cruising into the end zone. The Broncos are over 500. Best game we've seen out of Bo Nix. Best game we've seen out of Denver. Highest scoring total for their offense. A 38-6 win over Atlanta. He blew out a team with a winning record, 6-5 like them.
I got the coolest trivia question coming up. We'll get to it.
Okay.
That involves Denver.
All right. We'll look forward to that. Bo Nix went off, or he's hit a new level. 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 scores, no picks.
That's massive. For a rookie, for anybody.
Yeah. Monday Night Football, Houston at Dallas.
Oh, boy.
Bigger wreck of a legendary franchise. We'll leave Carolina, Jacksonville, and Tennessee over here. But the Cowboys and the Raiders, for teams that used to be great, franchises that used to be great, yikes.
You and your Raiders.
Yikes.
They haven't been great in so long.
They haven't. Yeah.
Nobody remembers it except you.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah.
So they'll send it away, and this one returned. Wester straight ahead. Wester with a lead! Wester, 76 yards, touchdown, Buffalo. First down at the 40-yard line. Play fake. Wilson has got a man. Touchdown, Utah. What a great throw by Ike Wilson. Dorian Singer. This may be your guy, folks. Here's the reverse. Trickery. Hunter steps up. Hunter dives. Touchdown, Colorado.
Colorado beats the Utes 49-24. The punt return early in the game, getting the Buffs going. Got them a 14-3 lead at the end of the first quarter. The Utes kicking field goals, PK. I mean, the third one, I guess, against the clock, 2-minute drill, to be expected. That was probably well done. But the first two, given short fields, they couldn't go anywhere and had to settle for 3. Could have stayed in that game maybe for a little while longer if they're better in the red zone. I don't get why they don't use Loner more. He got the late touchdown, but nothing else is working in the red zone. Give him a shot.
He's 4 for 4.
Yeah, right? You hear anything in the postgame there, or same as it ever was, 6-game losing streak and longest losing streak of Kyle Whittingham era?
He's at his wit's end and all that stuff, for sure. Yeah, he's frustrated. Talk to him a little bit. You can just see it. You can feel it. There's no doubt about it. He takes his stuff very, very personal. It's not anything that he's not in cruise control. If you're thinking of that, you're 100% wrong. And so he's got to find a way to break this thing out. I mean, Isaac showed a little bit during the middle of the game. But he's still overwhelmed. It's just an unfortunate situation.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah State.
Aggies not wasting any time. Right back to the line of scrimmage. Quick snap. Petrus looking deep for Otto T on the near side. He's got him, and that's a Utah State touchdown. Hand off to Faison. Faison breaks a tackle. He could go again. 20, 15, 10, 5. Put it on the board. That is another Rasul Faison Utah State touchdown. Bryson Barnes in shotgun. Motions a man to the near side. Rolling out right. Throwing to the other side of the field. It's going to be a walk-in touchdown. Sturzer gets 6, and the Aggies have broken 40 here in Logan.
Yeah, they break 50, 55-10. Utah State improves to 3-7 on the year by blowing out Hawaii. We're going to talk with Nate Dreiling coming up in about 10 or 15 minutes here, and he thought they could win this game, but they went way past that. 7 sacks, 5 interceptions, a 55-10 win, total dominance. That had to feel good. Boy, this year's gone.
Sure.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
Roberts on the play fake. Downfield wide open. Caught. Touchdown Cougars. Rapati. And a quick punt by Jalen Daniels. They're going to try and pin. Oh, it's loose. It's scooped up by Kansas. A cataclysmic error. Casey in motion. Neal on the carry. Touchdown Jayhawks. They capitalize on that catastrophic event and punch it into the end zone to take the lead. For a perfect season. Caught, but short of the first down. And that'll do it. The Jayhawks hold.
Kansas gives BYU its first loss of the year, 17-13. A Cougar team that scored in the last 2 minutes to beat SMU, to beat Oklahoma State, and to beat Utah. Didn't have the late game magic. They get stuck down there at the 8-yard line, coming up 3 yards short.
This is bad. Man, it's bad loss. Yeah, I get 9-1. You'd take that, blah, blah, blah. But that's not where we're at right now. We're about a team that needs to get to Arlington in 3 weeks, and they got their work cut out for them.
A big game. Kalani referred to it as their Super Bowl next week against Arizona State. ASU won, so they're sitting on 2 losses. They give BYU that second loss. They got the head-to-head tiebreaker. Huge game. Winner of this game probably ends up in Arlington. Not for sure.
Maybe.
Arizona State would still have Arizona in the finale. BYU would still have Houston. But actually, BYU could clinch if BYU and Utah both win. Then they would clinch. But a bad loss. We'll get to that coming up. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Oregon grinding out. Number 1 Oregon grinding out the 16-13 win at Wisconsin. Georgia staying in the playoff conversation by beating Tennessee 31-17. They were down 10-0 in that game. And shout out to Bronco Mendenhall after an 0-4 start. They come from behind, beat Washington State 38-35. Washington State had been ranked 18th. And Broncos got them at 5-6, playing for bowl eligibility.
I think they got Hawaii.
They do.
Yeah.
On the road in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Just awesome. The players, after he was doing the post-game, were in the locker room chanting Bronco, and they show him walking down the hallway. It was so cool.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Rafael Campos wins the Bermuda Championship. 19 under. Zach Blair misses the cut at the event. First off, you get a week in Bermuda. Second off, you win. Good week for Rafael Campos.
Yeah, didn't Rory, where did he play, in Dubai or something like that?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw the week before, leading up to it, he says, I really like this course, man. The traps are about 305, so I don't have to worry about going in them. I can go over them.
That's a great quote.
Yeah. Okay, Roar.
All right, Roar, you're the man.
Watch this 350-yard drive.
Just pound that thing over the trap.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Sergachev along the blue line, pivots there, looking in, lasers one and scores! Goals in back-to-back games for Mikhail Sergachev. And Utah's power play comes to life here at Delta Center. Swint taken up against the wall by Bukestad. This is tipped into the net and they score! Vegas gets a cheap one late in the third. 1:18 left in regulation. And Utah can't believe it. It got tipped in past Pamelka. Carlson got his stick on the shot from Caden Korzak.
Utah Hockey Club Scores the first 2 goals Friday night against Vegas, but gives up 4 in a row. Empty netter seals the deal. Vegas gets the win 4-2. I guess that's the difference between a team that's 11th and a team that's leading their division there, PK. You're down 2 goals. You find a way to get one in the second period, and then you come out in the third and dominate and win the game. Felt like if Utah got the next one, that would pretty much do it, but they never scored again. They end up losing 4-2.
That would have felt like to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals tonight at the Delta Center, 7 o'clock. The Legends coming to town, PK.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Jason Gretzky.
Hockey night in Utah starts at 6. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. Listen right here on The Zone. Yak, do you know how that's going to work with the Aggies? Who's on the FM, who's on the AM?
So FM will be the hockey club, AM will be the Aggies.
There it is. Listen to your games tonight right here on The Zone. Nate Dreiling, Aggie interim coach, joins us after the break. Hans Olsen's here at 8:30, Karene Reid at 9:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing.
If you're coming out of Tooele County, no problems on SR 36 going up to I-80. From the KSL Traffic Center, I'm Eric Butler at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
The only place I like to drink ginger ale is on an airplane.
Isn't that the truth?
Give me the ginger ale.
For some reason on a plane, it's like, ooh, ginger ale sounds great now.
Give me a ginger ale. Also, when you come back through, could you give me the Bloody Mary mix? Not a Bloody Mary. Give me the mix.
What do you do with the mix?
You just drink it because it's basically like spicy V8.
Oh.
I want to talk to a stranger with bad breath on the plane.
I don't have time to dive into why you like spicy V8.
I'm telling you, because it's
something's wrong with
low
you.
in sodium.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, we're joined now by Utah State interim football coach Nate Dreiling. His weekly interview brought to you by Macy's. Happy shopping. Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Well, you thought you might win this game. You thought it was different than some of the big dogs you've gone up against earlier this season. You mentioned that last week, but 55-10, did you see that coming?
Oh, you never see anything coming when you're dealing with 18 to 24-year-old kids, but the game plan came together. They executed well, limited mistakes, and that's typically what happens.
Obviously, you can't go to a bowl game because you already got 7 losses, but you got an opportunity to have a decent conference record. How much do you think that drives the kids?
Yeah, I mean, it's really even smaller than that. We don't look at big picture very often. We just look at getting better each day. I mean, we know we have a fun game versus San Diego State. I mean, we talked about this earlier. We played all the kind of top teams in the conference out of the gate, which kind of put us behind the 8 ball. But hats off to these players and coaches for keep working hard. And let's see if we can't get these next 2. That'd be a blast for this organization, this fan base.
The defense has had its problems, to put it mildly, but 7 sacks, 5 interceptions. How'd they do it? Who impressed you? Who made that happen?
Well, you know, we got a bunch of young players out there that are slowly starting to understand their role more and more and more, right? And so with that, you're going to have growing pains, but at some point things are going to start clicking, and that's kind of what happened. I think hats off to the D-line and the edge players for getting after the quarterback. And, you know, that's a huge stat, but the 44 rushing yards on 31 attempts, if you're stopping the run, man, life is easy on the back end to make sacks and make interceptions. So it's kind of an all-in-all effort by everybody.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, you guys ran for 321 yards. I mean, that's a 280-yard approximate difference between the teams. You've been involved in football your whole life. You ever seen a team lose when they had a 280-yard advantage in the rushing stats?
No, not when you're +5 in turnovers as well. And that should be our identity. We want to physically get after teams, and that starts with running the ball and stopping the run. So I think Coach Bassett and the O-line did an incredible job. Coach Cefalo did a good job calling plays. And then, you know, we got Razul Faison, who's, you know, arguably one of the best running backs in all the Mountain West, maybe college football. Went for 190-some yards. So we can keep him rolling, keep the O-line healthy, man. I think these last couple weeks are going to be fun.
The receiving core, obviously, you lost the big dog, but you're spreading the ball around. It's, 5 guys basically at 50 yards? I guess Hystera was a little short of that. But so receiver by committee now?
Yeah, that's spot on, and guys, that's been the approach all year. We've dealt with so many injuries, so it's kind of been a next man up mentality, right? So it's so fun seeing players who, a couple weeks ago were on scout team, and now they're getting their name called and they're catching touchdowns on game day. That goes to show you, man, if you just put your head down, keep working, and make the most of your opportunities, man, life can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, speaking of a lot of fun, after you get that, how fun is the rest of the day?
Yeah, man, it's almost like you forgot Saturdays were supposed to be fun. We had some dark times here, but the locker room was so excited, and these guys deserve so much, man. They've been through a lot, and they've had a lot of downs, and it's good to finally get it up along the way. Now we just got to keep it up, right, and keep stacking the days.
Senior day with San Diego State coming to town. Both teams are 3-7. Both teams are 2-3 in the league. What have you seen from the Aztecs in your early film preparation for them? What's the big challenge with them?
First-year coach, so they're kind of going through the same stuff, some growing pains. They do a good job of getting in games and staying in games. They almost beat Washington State, a few weeks ago. But it's going to come down to the same thing. It's going to be basically 2 high-tempo offenses who want to snap the ball 80 times a game. So we got to be able to win third down and get our offense back on the field.
You speak of first-year coaches. Later in the evening you had Bronco Mendenhall, New Mexico, and obviously he has a history here and going to get the big win against Washington State. My thought for you is these teams like the Aggies, New Mexico, San Jose State's getting a new coach and all that stuff, and they're trying to put together a program, and they've had their moments. Maybe overall, and San Jose State's a couple games over 500. New Mexico's trying to get bowl eligible and all that. The point being, how close are these teams, do you think, and put the Aggies in this same situation in terms of getting to another level to be really good? Because you've got the transfer portal, so you've got a nucleus of players. And how close do you think these teams are, including the Aggies, to being able to really be a lot better with a solid addition of another incoming group of players, whether it's high school, junior college, or transfer?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and with the Mountain West, and kind of the same as the Big 12, you guys are watching that, the margin of error is so small in this game because I think both leagues, it's very even competition. So you see late games won by 2 or 3 plays here. So if you literally land one big-time player or one, smart player that can get you out of jams, that's really all it takes as long as you can keep your team intact. And that's what we're going to find out about the middle of the pack teams right now. How well can they keep everyone in place as opposed to having to reload every single year? So that'll be the challenging part. But I think, as you guys are saying, man, anybody can win every single week, whether it's KU versus BYU or us versus Hawaii. It's going to come down to just a few plays.
Well, Coach, you had another 1:30 game, so if you get another win, you could have another real Saturday.
There's college football is made for early Saturday kicks, and I'm fired up about that.
All right. Thanks for a few minutes. We appreciate it, Coach. We'll talk to you again next week.
Take care, guys.
There's Nate Dreiling, interim coach at Utah State. Nothing better than winning an afternoon game. Bring out the pizza. Let's go. We can watch some more college football.
Especially if you're at home.
Soak up the W at home. Yeah, you don't have to get on the plane and fly home. Just wallow in the victory.
And it's interesting about that, about these teams that are showing improvement. In Mexico would be a great example, and we highlight them because of Bronco, and he's got a lot of BYU guys on his staff, that, you get better as the season goes, and then if you just get a few more players, how good can you be? We're looking at in this conference in the Big 12, now we've got, it's no longer a fluke, the top 3 teams who are all picked towards the bottom, right? And I think that if you have a team like Utah, right, obviously a massive disappointment. But usually if you're forecasted to be really good and you're not, there's probably some extenuating circumstances there, right? And we understand that, and you could line it up with Rising and all that stuff. But we can explain that. How do you explain these teams that are at the top now that were picked for months all through the offseason, they're not going to be any good? How do you explain that? I was thinking about this all weekend, and, I was on the road this week, and I literally got back to my hotel about 4:30 and then literally sat there the entire time by myself in the room watching college football till midnight. I mean, I literally did not leave the room. And there's no one to talk to. I am totally by myself. And watching the Devils upset Kansas State, watching Kansas upset BYU, how do you explain these teams? And obviously I saw Colorado. I get Colorado in a sense. I mean, Deion's getting a lot of run and listen to his post game, and he likes to play the no one believes in us type thing. I mean, you got 2 top 5 picks in the draft. Stop it.
Man. Yeah, but I get it. I mean, people didn't believe in him. You're right. He's got awesome top-end talent. But football takes a group.
Yeah, but it takes top-end talent. If you got a top-end quarterback.
That's a big piece of the puzzle. There's no doubt about it.
And I don't think that there's a lot of people who hate it. He uses the word hate. Don't not vote for Hunter because you hate me. Who hates Deion?
The place is packed with people who love him.
And I think the
I did
world
think that
loves
watching
Deion.
the game. Yeah, watching that game, I was stunned. They had that angle on the punt return in the sun, and you could see the whole stadium. Like, the place is packed. The Utes have been there, and there have just been acres of empty bleachers so many times.
That's what I wrote about at KSLSports.com.
It's been packed for 2 years.
I know you don't read me, but that's exactly what I wrote.
All right.
I wrote, excuse the Utes for not knowing where they were, because every time I'd been there many times.
It'd been empty.
There's 17,000 maybe, and, the excitement and all. But I get why Colorado is better. I understand that. And they haven't come close to beating a ranked team. But how do you explain BYU and the Devils that are picked? What were they? What were the Cougars picked? 13th, 11th?
Yeah, 13th.
And then obviously the Devils were picked last.
Well, I think with the Devils in Colorado, there are a lot of examples across a couple decades now of coaches who, whether they came in with expectations or not, the first year was a bit of a struggle, and then the second year things really clicked and took off. And I think it goes back to what the BYU coaches were saying, because although they've been there, most of them. Jay Hill's obviously in his second year as the defensive coordinator. But the continuity they were talking about that was going to pay off this year, you need some continuity. I think the first-year coaches, I guess it's the same concept, just sped up, is that you keep hearing the same message and you can coach players up. Fix some fundamental flaws, and over the course of a season, guys can improve. I don't know how else to explain it. I find the first-year stuff more fascinating than the second year. Second-year stuff's interesting, but we've seen it over time.
I don't know that we've seen 9-0. A team that had the worst record in 80 years of the program to this with the Sun Devils.
So you go transfer portal, you can bring in more talent more quickly, you can do it faster. But second-year coach? I'm with you. I didn't see it coming at all, but here they sit at 8-2. Something to ponder. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We'll run it past Hans Olsen coming up at 8:30. He'll join us. Stay with us, DJ and PK. The question of the day is on the way. Next. The band of the day is Metallica. Kirk Hammett, lead guitarist, turning 62. It's brought to you by Live Nation for all the live concerts and events in 2024. Check out livenation.com.
I'll give you my trivia question real quick.
Oh, what do you got?
There's one set of parents who saw their son get an interception on Saturday, and then they saw their son get an interception on Sunday.
I know the answer.
I know the answer to that, too. Because Lander Barton picked off that pass at the start of the Colorado game, and Cody Barton had a pick for the Denver Broncos yesterday.
And his parents were at both games.
Good weekend for the parents.
I talked to them on the flight over.
Nice.
Yes. And they were going to attend both games.
They had to love the way the schedule worked out there.
Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't realize Paul, the dad, told me, we're going tomorrow or Sunday too. We got a doubleheader. And I wasn't following Denver's schedule, so I didn't know. I thought, oh, man, that is really sweet. And then I saw they both, and he was kicking Lander in the butt, needed to play better, and then he gets a pick on the first play.
Good weekend for the Barton family.
Yeah, result not as
a win and a loss there, yeah, but
It's got their boys to see 2 interception apiece. That's fun.
The question of the morning, a downer of a Saturday as Utah and BYU each lose. Where do they go from here? The mood's all over the place, PK. Kevin is all upbeat. 9-1's a hell of a run. 100 teams would love to be 9-1. Caleb, fire A-Rod. His play calling has lost his games when our defense has shown up.
Well, he's only lost one
Lost your
game.
games?
Games, plural. Yep.
When?
Yeah. I'd fire him right now. I mean, I wait till they get to the tarmac, and then he doesn't get on. We know the guys have been fired coming back, but
So when they get there Friday to fly down to Tempe,
yeah.
Do
it at that point. You're going to do it.
Well, that wouldn't be
dramatic and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, they sucked offensively, and they got to get going. I mean, they've only scored a touchdown in each of the last 2 games, and that's not good enough.
Scott, watch the Aggie highlights. Alex, I don't know what you're talking about. Photo of the Aggies celebrating a touchdown. Samuel, how about those Aggies? Great win. Haven't heard much from them all season. They are showing up in real numbers this morning.
The BYU thing is interesting that somehow it seems like it's doom and gloom. 9-1, you would have taken it, but you're 0-1. And you've gotten this close, so you didn't come this far to get this far. It's a new set of circumstances. So if you go, big sky pitcher type thing, sure, 9-1 is awesome, but at the same time, you had much at stake, and you lost to a team that you should have beat. You can argue that. I mean, that's what teams who lose say. Yeah, we should have won that game. I get that. I told you all along that Kansas was way better than the record.
And they've shown it the last month.
Yeah.
3-1 in their last 4 and beaten by a 51-yard field goal right at the end by K-State.
Right. And they're going to give Colorado all that they can handle. It's in the Chiefs Stadium. The Jayhawks don't have their home stadium for renovation purposes this year. I think that throws a little bit off, too, in that situation. So you've got that going on there. And they're going to be tough. So BYU is certainly not out of it, but it's funny, if you would have say you would have lost that Oklahoma State game and then you're 9-1, you'd feel a lot better about the 9-1 than being 9-0 and now being 9-1.
The recency bias. The loss is the last thing you saw.
Well, you've seen the last 2 games, the offense has not been good enough. They're not scoring touchdowns.
Right.
And that play at the end of the first half was just awful, absolutely awful. And then the plays that they ran after they got in position to potentially win the game, the last 3 of the last 4 weren't good. And then the run, you needed, 12, and you got 8 or something, whatever it was.
4th and 11, you got 9.
Yeah, and that wasn't good. So that's right there. The offense has got to get better. It got real stagnant in a hurry, quickly. And, yeah, Utah's defense and all that stuff, and you got to give Kansas all the credit in the world. I knew Kansas would be tough. I just knew it. I said it. I feel like I have a vindication because I said it when they were losing, not when they're winning now. I said hold off on label them a bad team. I know the record is bad. The record is still bad, but that is not a bad football team. I don't care what the record says. It's not a bad football team, and they showed it. And now you're going to go at a team that is just flying high. Place is going to be packed on Saturday. It's homecoming. It's senior day, blah, blah, blah. And they got tons of momentum. Dillingham sells it like crazy. He's talking in his post-game thing. He said, quit talking about me. It's the players. And then they ran this formation where they had the 5 offensive linemen and 2 tight ends close. And then in the backfield, I think it was a Wildcat thing, they had like 2 defensive linemen. So they had 9 guys. And one of the linemen said that he put out a thing on Twitter, said, yeah, this is 3,000 pounds of beef, right? They added up all their weights. And what does Dillingham do? He goes right on social media and says, there's got to be some steakhouses in this town that want to give these guys NIL. And he just pushes that, push it the whole time. And they're just riding high. All of a sudden, you got a bunch of believers in the Valley. The Valley's a community, like a lot of them. They're front runners. And so, yeah, it looks like it's difficult for BYU, where if they would have won that game Saturday, I don't think there's no way they wouldn't have been able to go to Arlington, even if they lost to the Devils. Now it's up in the air.
DJ and PK, hot takes or toast, more reaction to a weekend of football next. Stay with us. Hot takes or toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Utah and BYU both lose Saturday. Where do they go from here? Downer of a Saturday. What is next? Chris, to the next game. Dave, they go on to the next game.
Yeah. Should I put that out there for guys who think they're funny and give them an opportunity? Like maybe once every 14 years?
David.
Even though that isn't funny, they think it is.
David, they're going to the Alamo Bowl. Predicting, obviously, a loss to ASU, no Big 12 title game, no playoff.
I haven't even thought about bowl games.
Off to a bowl game.
Because for the next 2 years, it's weird. The old Pac-12 teams are still contractually obligated to those games.
Yeah, the Alamo Bowl, Pac-12 versus Big 12, so you have two Big 12 teams playing.
Yeah. Still got a couple years to get through that. But I haven't even thought about it. I don't even look at those bowl prediction
Who's
things.
Getting to the
I know
Big
you
12.
look at that stuff. But
I actually haven't.
Yeah, I don't believe you. But
okay. Utah are going, and the Cougs are going to the Fiesta, so I didn't look. But now it's all in doubt because BYU has a loss and ASU got the win, and so it sets up the massive game in Tempe. It reminds me a little bit of when Utah lost to Arizona because in this format, one loss is such a big deal. You can overcome it, but can you overcome two? Probably not.
I think they can. Yeah, because you are fortunate that they have the rivalry game. If the Devils beat you, they've got to go to Tucson, and that's a throw out the record type thing. Look at everything you needed to beat Utah a couple weeks back. So from that perspective.
Iowa State's playing K-State, so even with a loss, they could get in. These other guys could back up to 3 L's and lead BYU and Colorado to play each other.
It could happen, yeah. I think you don't want to be in that situation, but
it could play out.
It could play out, yeah. I think Kansas has an excellent shot to beat Colorado.
That would be a second loss for Colorado.
Right.
So they could benefit from ASU and Iowa State suffering a third loss as well.
Yeah. So
it's just down to those 4 teams now.
Yeah. Understood. Right.
BYU and Colorado the inside track. ASU and Iowa State are waiting. Sitting on 2 losses. Everybody else has got 3 losses or more.
I don't think BYU has any more inside track than the Sun Devils.
Win this game and you're in great shape.
Yeah.
Lose this game and you are not in great shape.
I think that's a 50-50 thing there.
Except to your point, ASU has got to play Arizona and BYU gets to play Houston.
Right. But I don't think BYU has an inside track. If they didn't play each other, that'd be another story, but they do.
Well, you don't want to sit around that last weekend waiting to check the scores. Take care of business and do it yourself. But that involves getting the offense improved in the red zone. A clear and obvious problem, a massive problem. It's weird they ran the ball so well, but then when they got down in the red zone, they couldn't run it well. And that's usually the answer in the red zone, run the ball well.
Well, at the end of the first half, they didn't try to run it.
Nope. Threw it to the end zone, underthrown, picked off. Should have at least gotten a field goal and had the lead there.
Yeah, that was really bad. That was awful. I mean, that never had a shot.
That was a gift to Kansas.
That's the easiest interception they'll get. It
was underthrown from the get-go.
And it's a lob, so it's not like it's coming in there with any smoke.
Nope.
That was awful.
There was no lob on that pass.
That was just looked like a little thing you'd throw in a warm-up before you start really throwing the ball around. Just to get a feel when they first give you the ball. And it was toss it up in the air. My gosh, that was awful. Yeah. I can sort of live with the fluky nature of the ball, the punt hitting Johnson in the head, and he's got no idea it's there.
It was the biggest play of the game, but yeah, he can't possibly see it.
Yeah, I thought maybe Robinson should have tried to gather himself instead of just
plopping on it and having it
just
scored
trying
away.
to dive on it. It's something that you got to get before the time goes
means
out.
Wet and slick ball.
Yeah,
And
get yourself under control a little bit. There was nobody around you. Instead of trying to grab it at full speed, it's like you got little chance, and then sure enough, it squirts another 10 yards or so towards the goal line. But he's trying to make a play. Maybe he can't see. It's easy but I'm a Monday morning quarterback. I'm not paid the first guess. I'm paid the second guess.
There's got to be a little adrenaline rush in the moment when he realizes it hit his teammate, and that is the ball game lying on the ground right there. We can't give it to him right here.
That's a little extreme. I don't think he's thinking that. If I don't get this ball, we're going to lose. We're not going to go to the playoff. We're barely going to go to a bowl game that no one's going to care about. Half the team's going to drop. They're going to opt out, so we're going to lose that game, and I'm going to opt out myself. I don't think he's really thinking that in the moment.
That was a whole list of things I didn't say, but thanks for the extreme example. But that was the ball game lying on the ground right there. Fourth quarter fumble inside your own 10-yard line.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was at all. Kalani didn't think it was, and I'm going to align with him. He was miffed that the defense just rolled over. He thought they could have stopped him and held him to a field goal then. So I'm going to go with Kalani on that one. Yeah, I agree with him. And he literally said that after the game that could have had that. And if your offense goes and gets a score, then it wasn't the game. And they had plenty of opportunity. And they had momentum, and then they stalled. And they went with 3 run plays. And they didn't work. And one, the short side of the field, you got everybody there, and Kansas State. I think Kansas State was aware of it because they scouted it. They saw that the Retzlaff in that position probably is going to pitch it as he did at Utah, as he did at SMU. And it didn't work, obviously. So if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, we criticize. Sure, that's my job. Yeah, and I take it on, and I'll do it again. Next time they run a stupid play, I'll criticize it. And if that stupid play turns out to be great, then I'll say, way to go.
Peter says for BYU, you got to figure out why you shoot yourself in the foot when in the red zone. For Utah, I'm not sure. That's a game time decision.
That's decent.
That is decent. That's much better. I like it. Game time decision. Well done.
I mean, they had that thing with Isaac, and obviously Friday I didn't want to get into it too much, but I had heard that, depending on how he felt, I wasn't sure Friday morning. It wasn't a guarantee. It wasn't a lock that he would start. And they were going to have to see how things progressed during the day, and we talked about it at 7:30 in the morning, and the day had just begun. So how he was going to feel. And I know his mother went on and made a social media post and put out, she's a mom, and so she's protecting her son, who from Eve on down, every mom in the world has done that. Now, I saw Tanya, so maybe Tanya Harding's mother didn't. It was the grossest movie I've ever seen. It was disgusting, such a downer. But every other mom is going to stick up for their kid, and he deserves some credit. I thought he looked okay at times. There's something to build there. We'll see. I'm hoping in 2-3 years he has a John Beck story. That'd be great. Kid's gone through a lot of crap this season. And so he's still out there playing, doing what he can, doing the best as he can. He's not trying to suck on purpose or any of that stuff. He's trying to do what he can there. And these are hard times, just like John Beck had hard times. Now, I have no idea that he's going to have a John Beck to Johnny Harline story in his last regular season game in college. That would be sweet if it was that, but I have no clue. But we'll see. There's plenty of time. That's a 2 to 3 year development. Let's see how it goes there.
A lot of BYU fans still upbeat right now. Jeremy, BYU still controls its fate. If we beat ASU, who's now ranked, we jump right back in it.
Right back in what?
Mark, wait. The Big 12 champs lost 1 game. I believe they're still number 1 in the conference, right? Go Cougs.
Well, they're tied.
Tied at 6-1.
Yeah.
With a team they haven't played, but they don't need a tiebreaker because those two would just, assuming they both win out, they go to Arlington and settle it there.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that.
Win 3 games, win the conference. You control how your season plays out.
What do you mean win 3 games?
Got to win this week. Then you got to beat Houston. And after you beat ASU in Houston, you got to beat Colorado to win the conference. Win 3 games, win the conference.
Okay.
But the margin for error is gone. The mulligan has been used. They just got to win 2 out of 3 to get there, I said last week. Well, now they can win. Now apparently they have to win 2 out of 2. There's a scenario where they could back in, but better to win 2 out of 2.
If they win Saturday, I think they're in. And Saturday's a big game and all, but you're not playing a proven commodity. My guess, I haven't seen any line. My guess would be the Devils by 3 or 3.5 to get some bettors in there. Well, that's basically even.
It opened at 3.5.
Yeah, well, duh.
And you're right. The betting parlance is home team gets 3 points.
Right. So that's an even Steven game, as it should be. I mean, for all their great success that the Devils have had, they've never been in this situation where now you're favored and supposed to win a big game.
They've been sneaking up on people.
Yeah, they've been.
They have been.
And it's a great underdog story.
It is a great story.
Yeah.
But every week it's been, come on, not really going to go to K-State and win, are they?
Right.
And they went to K-State
I
and won.
called FTD yesterday morning.
Because you're going to give them their flowers?
I sent Dillingham his flowers. I combined Kyle and yeah. I'll give them their flowers after that one. Sure, no problem. That was a big time win. You know, maybe not Ohio State big time win, but a big time win for this program's at.
This program and where it's been the last 2 years, going 3-9.
Yeah,
3-9, 8-2.
Yeah, that was a big time win. And there's no other way to spin it. And good for them, man. They did what they had to do. It's unbelievable. Kansas State could not hike the ball on field goal attempts. I mean, they couldn't. They skidded twice. Both times.
Train your kid to be a long snapper.
Yeah. The one was right at the end. I'm watching the game. I had nothing to do. I had no one to talk to. I was totally alone. First time I've ever been where I watched, what's that, 4:30 to midnight. How many hours is that?
7.5.
7.5 hours of football without leaving the room and talking to no one. No one. Literally. No one. I didn't say a word.
You were marooned.
Yeah.
Marooned in your hotel room.
Yeah. And the only reason why I wasn't earlier is the friggin' traffic getting out of Folsom Field was awful. They only got like this old highway. I've taken it many times that takes you into town because Boulder's up against the mountains and Denver set in a little bit. And it's 2-lane. They got a freeway. They do have a little, for part of it, they have you got to pay to, it's not just like our
toll road.
Yeah, you got to pay to get in there. You have to have carpool enough people, plus you got to pay. So I didn't get in that. And to go 36 miles took over 90 minutes. I was going nowhere. Yeah. So I didn't get back to the room until I thought I'd get back about 3. But no, I just sat in that traffic the whole time. And then I just turned on the television. I caught the end of SMU BC. And then that led right into the Devils, and then that led right into the Cougars. And I was flicking around. There were some other games there, too. There on the TV. And so, yeah, they got that win, and I watched the whole game. And to see Kansas State at the end of the first half, he slides the thing, and the holder can't get it. Then when it's a 2-score game, they got momentum, and they're going to go for a field goal. And again, it slides along the ground. The kicker runs up and has to stop. And then he's got no momentum.
Not ideal.
And so, yeah, then he pushes it to the right. What's he going to do? And this is unbelievable at this level.
They can't get the snap to hold in the kick.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for those guys. And then the holder looked like he was going to just sob. Not the holder, the snapper. But the Devils won. They took advantage of it. And then they come in flying high. But now everything is brand new. Now, okay, you're flying high, you're a cute story, blah, blah, blah. But none of that matters now. Now, you're at home, you control your destiny too. This is the biggest game that these dudes have ever been in the whole way.
And we do see teams as the expectations go, and this happens every year, and you can look at the teams this past Saturday, teams playing like they got a piano on their back once the expectations mount.
Right.
I thought that a little bit of SMU, honestly. And clearly, BYU.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time earlier this year, Utah, when they saw expectations before everything really fell apart.
Yeah, except those guys are used to it.
Yeah.
They've had them, a lot of them. But now you got the Cougs and the Devils that there hasn't been. And if you step back, okay, whoever loses that game, you still have had a pretty good season. But that doesn't matter in the moment. Now, how do you handle these things? That's why I wouldn't bet a penny on this game. Not 1 cent.
But that's why it's a 3-point spread and the home team gets 3 points.
I have no idea what's going to happen. No, the BYU's a cute story, but going 1-2 in November, that's not cute.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're all beyond our season expectations, but all the expectations have been adjusted. They've all been recalibrated.
Hardcore. Yes. Right. Yeah.
Nobody had 9 wins, and nobody will be satisfied with 9 wins. And nobody had it, but it won't be satisfying now.
No, I thought top end for the Cougs would have been 8.
I remember
for the Devils,
talking to you about
7.
I remember talking about that, like 8. I remember bringing that up one morning. I don't even know if we were on the air or off at the time. You're like, 8? I would take that right now. 8?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I thought. I mean,
Right.
I didn't understand the logic of not getting to 6 or 7. You had 5 last year, and you got guys back, but the schedule looked hard, and the league's upside down, and it's what Nate Dreiling said. The margin hasn't been big in a bunch of these games. Cougs have played 4 really close games, and one of them is scheduled to be a blowout. So 5 have been convincing, 4 have been really tight, and they're 3-1 in the close games.
No, I had them 7-5. And the Devils, I thought if they had 6,
that'd be
extend his contract 5 years. Yeah, I did.
For both ASU and Colorado. Second year coaches, get bowl eligible, you're making progress.
Colorado, but
high-end quarterback,
Sanders
and he's going to the NFL.
Really good.
I know, but they had nothing
He's
around
a
him.
fun player to watch.
Yeah. He makes really good throws, quote-unquote, off-platform.
And he can run around, buy time. I love the fact, I think his game translates to the NFL very well, and I'm not, whoever am I to say that, but he doesn't look to run. He's looking to make a play.
You run to extend the play. Yeah. You don't run past the line of scrimmage unless first down marker or end zone.
If it's right there.
Right.
And to me, that's what I want in my quarterback. He doesn't get happy feet and, I got to bolt at the sign of pressure. He's so cool and calm back there that I really, really enjoy watching him play football.
Well, he's going to be a high draft pick, so.
And you know what was really cool for me to watch? I'm there on the field at that point. That fullback kid who's a Colorado native, I can't remember his name. He scores a touchdown late, and Shador and Hunter were right there to celebrate with him because he was there before they got there. He's one of their brothers.
And he stuck it out.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, really cool. Those guys who are going to go to the NFL and make millions and all, none of that matters in the moment. Here's one of their dudes who's
Charlie Offerdahl.
Yeah, he's just grinding out like crazy, and he gets a moment in the sun, so to speak, and they are right there to go nuts with him.
Good team chemistry.
Yeah, that showed me something from those guys because they could. The game was over at that point. They could have just said, just
everybody jogs over
field.
to the sideline.
No, but they went right there and they were celebrating with him because they know he's been putting in the work and getting none of the acclaim.
Having his Rudy moment.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was good for them. It was cool to see.
DJ and PK, where do the Cougars go from here? What's the problem in the red zone? We'll talk with Hans Olsen, BYU football radio analyst, and, of course, co-host of Hans and Scotty. He joins us next right here on The Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
G-Bang!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination to KSLSports.com/contest. And then listen every Thursday afternoon to the good guys, JJ and Alex, for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. And it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. What is that noise?
I was just waiting, you know. I mean, come on. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Got Ute and Cougar fans weighing in on the weekend that was. A downer of a Saturday. Where do they go from here? Maximus says the trash heap. Wow. Harsh, Maximus.
The trash heap. That's what they used to call Todd Heap. The legendary tight end for the Devils. He'll be there.
They called him trash heap?
No, I just made that up.
That's what I thought.
A Mountain View product. Right there. In the heart of Mesa.
The Arizona Mountain View. The Arizona Mountain View, not the Utah Mountain View.
My Mountain View.
DJ PK, we are joined right now by Hans Olsen, BYU football radio analyst and co-host of Hans and Scotty. And it's good morning.
Gentlemen, good morning. I miss you both. Wish I could give you both hugs, good tight ones.
I know, you break my spine when you do
break
that.
the rib, you crack a rib when you do that. Keep your distance.
You're strong.
Every time I hug PK, I hug him as if he's beat me in golf again. And I hug him to try to disable his golfing ability so someday I might be able to sneak out a win against him.
We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Well, 2 words every Cougar fan is uttering today. Red zone. Now, that last drive fascinates me, and we just played the bite from Chase Roberts. Hey, win by 20 or 30. Don't let it come down to one possession. 3 times they've scored in the last 2 minutes to win a game. They try to do it a 4th time. They throw the ball across midfield, and then they go to the ground game, which I know is what Hans Olsen wants. Big guys slamming into other big guys. Take the face mask off. It's time for real football players. And LJ picks up 11 yards, and Rapati, they give it to him, and he goes 14 yards. And they're in the red zone. You're thinking, well, just run the ball into the end zone. I mean, you just picked up 11 and 14 on these carries. Let's go. And they get stuffed on 3 straight run plays, and then we know that the penalty, so 4th and 11's a long shot, and they don't get it done. Yeah. What went wrong with the run game at the end? Because they ran the ball right down the field. It looked like they were going to run it right into the end zone.
It's so difficult to kind of get into the minds of a defensive coordinator, but I felt like Kansas did a really good job of taking Jake Retzlaff out of the run game. And so when you go to the option attack, Jake Retzlaff is already accounted for. They're not going to let him keep. They're not going to let him run. And then all you got to do is keep an outside back who slides out to take on the pitch man, or you take a safety or a nickel that stays wide to take on the pitch man. And they did it 3 or 4 times in that game where they took the pitch man. The pitch man, I think, worked like once or twice and got some yards. So I can kind of see what they're working towards and what their thought was. And their thought was, we still have 2 downs to get 6 yards. So let's get this pitch. Let's go get 3, maybe 5. Give us a really short 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2, and then we convert. And if this thing does break up the edge like it did against SMU, you guys remember the SMU pitch that went up the edge. It was kind of the miracle pitch and the miracle moment. If this thing does get up the edge and, we go get this first, well, then we're cooking with oil. And Kansas did a really good job accounting for the quarterback, which they had done all game long. And then they had the pitch man taken care of and jammed that thing up. The false start is what really broke your back, because if you're in 4th and 6, that quick slant hits. And I was on the broadcast calling for the quick slant all night. The quick slant and the deep slants were opened in the Iowa State game, the Kansas State game, and the Houston game. Those were the 3 games that they had played previous, and I'd watched all 3 of those, and that's where the opposing team had made their money, is in the quick and deep slants. They just don't cover those well. And even when they did cover it, you were able to really fire it into Chase Roberts. But when have we seen anybody stop Chase Roberts or Darius Lassiter on the slants? So that's where things kind of broke. But, guys, so difficult because I know the time and the preparation that goes into these game plans, and it's so hard to question a guy. It's easy to, stand back and just say, oh, well, that's a terrible call. And, yeah, in the big look of it and in 2020 hindsight, yeah, it was a bad call. But these guys have so many numbers in mind, and they've got personnel groups in mind, and they've studied it, and they're like, oh, there's the personnel group. We hit this thing with the pitch option, and we're off and rolling. Well, the problem is you've got all kinds of hidden defenses, and this is what I was calling for from Jay Hill against Kansas. You got to hide your numbers, and you got to do late stems. The late stems are what will force the numbers from one side of the center to the other side of the center, then gives you a numbers mismatch into the run game where they can't outnumber you on the blocking side. And it's like they did a good job of hiding the numbers. They got the pitch man taken care of, and it broke them.
I'm fascinated going forward now because you've got this game between two upstarts that nobody thought that they would be in this situation, be playing for a potential berth in the conference title game the next to the last week of the season. It's just that's one of the reasons why we love sports, right? It's so unpredictable, and you've got these guys that both teams, man, they would have just said, absolutely, we're 9-1, we're 8-2. Oh yeah, where do we sign up, right? Because it was so unpredictable to be there. But now that you're here, all that stuff and all the good feelings and the fun stories of getting to this point, they really don't matter. It's about winning this ball game. And so I'm so intrigued to see how both sides are going to respond, because I can make an argument, and there might be some transfer or two, but the 99% of these guys have never played in a game with this type of ramification and so much on the line. How do you think, you've been there in these situations, how do you think both sides respond?
Well, you tell me a little bit about Sam Levin, because he's a true freshman, is he not?
He's a redshirt freshman. He was at Michigan State last year and then came over in the transfer portal.
Okay, so he's
Dallin
a
Levitt's younger brother.
Was he on the field at Michigan at all, or is this his
I think
first?
he got his 4 games in last year at Michigan State. So, they got that new rule there to put in a few years back, I guess. You can play 4 games and still maintain your redshirt year. So I believe he got into 4. I don't know the circumstances. I wasn't following it at any stretch. They were a disaster. That program needs to reload. And so now he comes here. He beats out Rashada, and Rashada, who made news for getting the big money promised in Florida, and then goes to ASU, and then and then Rashada he saw the writing on the wall, and he's at Georgia now, so he took off, and this program is now solidly Levitt's.
And Levitt is throwing a pretty nice completion percentage right now at 62%. His touchdown to interception ratio is good, 17-4, really good. He's still a rushing threat. If he's anything like his brother was, he's a hot head. He's a competitor. He's got crazy blood running through his veins. You guys remember how crazy his brother was?
Yeah.
His brother didn't care, which I loved him for it. Some hated him for it. I love him. I love crazy wild cards like that. So I'm sure he brings a bit of that, kind of that competitive nature. He's throwing for 2,000 yards on the season. But he's got his reliability behind him again in Scadaboo, who was out for a minute, but he's back, and it looks like he made it through last week healthy against Kansas State, and he's going to be a problem. I don't know, PK, this to me is the season. I feel like this is the season, and I want you in full Arizona State gear right next to me in the booth and with a headset, and Greg Wrubell can have 2 color guys. You take the good moments for Arizona State. I'll take the good moments for BYU. We'll have some back and forth banter because, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool and pretty unique that these 2 programs have built themselves into this moment. And Arizona State's been through so much. I cannot believe how embattled this program is after what Herm Edwards took them through, all the sanctions. They're still serving sanctions, are they not?
I think they just got finished with it in August. And so it was literally the worst time in the history of the program. It's a fact.
Yeah, the worst time in the history of the program, and here they are with one of the youngest coaches in the entire
He is the
NCAA
youngest
ranks.
head coach. He's 34 years old, and he looks 18.
That's incredible, and I got a lot of respect for him. I've actually loved the way he's represented himself and represented his team, and so this is built into, in my opinion, the biggest game of the year. And for those of you, and I'm sure you guys have said it plenty of times, if Utah wins, if BYU wins, and if Colorado wins, the Big 12 championship game is BYU versus Colorado. And at this point, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a Utah win against Iowa State, a BYU against Arizona State, and a Colorado win against Kansas. And that seals it. That puts BYU in Dallas, well, in Arlington, and in the Big 12 championship game. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
For BYU to win, they got to score. These last two games, they beat the Utes. They got a special teams touchdown. They lose to Kansas. They pretty much gave away a touchdown with the crazy quick kick punt play and the turnover down inside the 5. What do they got to do to get the offense back? Because for a stretch there, you could pencil them in for 34 points. They did it week after week after week. Sometimes they did a little more. That's gone away the last 2 weeks. What's happened?
Isn't this crazy? So Greg Wrubell brought this up in our post game. The last 5 games, we have seen points decrease. So 41 points against Arizona, 38 against Oklahoma State, 37 against UCF, 22 against Utah, and then 13 against Kansas. So we've seen it dwindle. There's points shaving off every week. So as a former player, having been in multiple game plans, you have to stop and scout yourself. You have to stop and say, well, what am I showing? Am I tilting my hand? Is there a mirror behind me? Can somebody see that I've got 2 queens and 2 sevens, and I'm sitting on potentially a full house? How? What are people seeing? And why are we being jammed up, especially in the red zone? Those red zone possessions were killers. And it almost felt like that corner knew exactly what was coming, just sat back in the quarter and let Tavatase run to the corner. And by the way, if that throw is put where it's supposed to be, which is on the back pylon, it's either in Tava's fingertips or out of bounds. It's not underneath and intercepted. So that was a throw more than it was a route or a decision or a call. So I think you got to go back and scout yourself and say, all right, well, what personnel packages do we have when we have Rapati behind the quarterback or we have LJ behind the quarterback? What are our tendencies? We must be showing trends. Got to be. And then the other thing I'd say to that, DJ, is through those games, you go back to Baylor or, you go back to Kansas State. Let's go all the way back to Kansas State where they scored 38 points. Well, some of that was on a scoop and score. The defense is giving you a score. You've had multiple returns for touchdowns, whether it was the Kingston crazy punt return that bowed around for the touchdown, or it's Keelan Marion's 2 touchdown returns, the one against Utah. I mean, really take off his the touchdown return against Utah, and you're at 15 points in that game. So your special teams and your defensive side of the ball have been the ones that have been kind of aiding you in the scoring, and the offense is not getting a lot of these points. And then the last point on this, a 10-minute and 30-second drive, like I can appreciate that, and I actually love that because it kept Kansas's offense off the field, which you both know. You had to keep Kansas's offense off the field. So their idea, I'm sure, was to take extended possessions. But if you're going to go for 10-minute and 30-second drive, you got to have 7 points. They can't end in 3. And the other thought was when they got that ball back with 4 minutes, it's like, oh, geez, 4 minutes. These drives are taking you 10. What can you do in the 4 minutes? Well, the 2-minute drive was the best drive they had that ended up in the interception just before the half. It was that quick hurry up, the pop. It was the pre-plans. It was the play that the next play. How many times have we seen plays take too long to get into the huddle where you're almost having to call a timeout or you're snapping at the 1 second mark and everybody's pressed? So I just think maybe look at the tempo of your offense, look at some of the big play possessions. They did miss a couple of over-the-top passes that would have probably been touchdowns. Receivers had leads over the top of the safeties, caught them in the wrong coverage, and got the right matchups over the top. But one was thrown to the outside when the route ran inside. The other one was overthrown. So you did take a couple of shots. But look at the shots you take. Look at the tempo. Self-scout. Make sure that you're not showing your hand. And get this offense going again, because PK, you know it, man. It's going to take 28, probably 32 points in Phoenix. I know BYU's defense is good, and they've been holding up their end of the bargain, holding Kansas to 17. But I think Arizona State, I think that they've got the potential to score.
It's a 1:30 game. It's supposed to be about 80 degrees. The sun's going to be out. Are you worried about anybody getting mummified skin?
Mummified?
PK loves it. Every time that comes on, I tell him that grosses me out. I don't like him talking about mummified skin.
What is
that? Just grosses me out.
I don't even know what it is. No, I just hear you say it.
Mummified skin?
I just think it's some dead Egyptian pharaoh from under some pyramid somewhere from thousands of years ago. You're grossing me out, Hans.
Can sunscreen prevent it? Because I think you're going to need your sunscreen for the fans who are going to the game.
I think if I lifted up my pant leg, you'd find mummified skin right now.
We crossed the line. That's it. Now we've had enough.
A lot or a little?
It's quite a bit. I do like the 130 kick.
If I do say so myself.
I do like the 130 kick, though, man. That's nice. So getting home at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, that's getting a little bit tiresome, man. They have been burying these Big 12 games. So it'll be nice. On the mothership, ESPN, 1:30. You're right. It's going to be in the heat. What do you think the temperatures will be, PK?
I think it's going to be about between 78 and 80. Because it's supposed to be a little warmer here, which then means it's a little warmer down there. I think this weekend is going to be warmer in the West. And so, I think it's going to be, for this time of year, a little toasty. But, I mean, plenty good enough weather.
Yeah, it'll be plenty. Are you headed down to this one?
I might be, yeah.
Good.
Even a little earlier than anticipated.
Well, I hope we get the whole crew down there, because I do feel like this is the season. If BYU loses this one, I think it all but takes them out of Arlington, and I would say it'll probably be Arizona State and Colorado, because Arizona State, they finish with Arizona, and Colorado finishes with Oklahoma State. So they've got the two easy finishes. I'm not saying that Houston is a bruiser, even though Houston's found a little bit of momentum, but Arizona State would have the tiebreaker over BYU. So, I think it comes down to this game, and these veterans are going to have to find a way to settle the boiling blood and get everybody ready to play. But I do hope this offense self-scouts, because it felt like Kansas was in their huddle. It felt like they were in their meeting, and you can't have that against Arizona State.
All right, Hans, we'll leave the mummified skin right there, and we'll move on. We appreciate a few minutes, and we will hear you with Scotty G coming up at noon today.
Anytime, gent. Love to be on with you.
All right. Hans Olsen joined us right here on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Karene Reid is going to join us coming up at 9:30. Got more reaction to a weekend of football next, including the play of the game. On the way, your chance to win right after the break. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
The Utah Hockey Club general manager, Bill Armstrong, on the air here with us.
When you come watch us, it's all boiled into that. Our players, we take great pride in who we've drafted. We want to bring the right players through the door. You're a workhorse. When our fans leave that game, they're going to be like, they got outmatched, but they wouldn't give. They wouldn't give. They fought. They blocked shots with their face. They're bleeding after the game. They left it on the ice. They bled a little bit in Utah. They got a little Utah fight in them. And that's what we want our fans to walk out the door. And that's not going to happen every game, but it's going to happen the majority of games. And we want our guys tries to bleed. There's a spirit that we play with that we breed inside our players. And listen, we do background checks. We do, you name it. We go back to their 5th grade teacher and find out what they're like. We want the right people. That's a big part for us.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer strong play of the weekend.
Fakes the throw. Allen going to step up in the pocket. Now he's going to take it and run, and he's got the first down and more. 10, 5, and muscles his way into the end zone for an unbelievable 26-yard touchdown run. Are you kidding me?
There's the Chevy Strong play of the game. Know it today after 3 o'clock. Alex and JJ will call for it, and you'll have a chance to win fabulous prizes.
I didn't think it was that unbelievable. It was a great play. I agree on that. But unbelievable?
No, it's believable. I mean,
he's a star.
Yes. And that's the kind of play that he's made before. He's big. He's athletic. He can run.
Yeah.
Once you got outside containment, once you lose contain, bad things happen.
Wasn't like that Steve Young thing. I forget, was it against the Vikings or something?
Oh,
He's running all over
the
the
NFL
place.
films. Call it up now, people. Yeah, he's tripping and stumbling and bouncing into guys.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. But this
Maybe
was Josh Allen using his athletic skill.
The last 5 yards, he's kind of been spun, and it's not, and he's just like, I see a guy coming, I'm just going to run him over and get to the goal line. And he ran him over and got to the goal line.
Once you get past the linebackers, there's nobody as big as him.
Right. And even the linebackers might not be as big as him. But the defensive backs are at a definite disadvantage.
And he's moving.
He had momentum, and he's just like, I'm just going to lumber into this guy and fall towards the end zone. I'm going to make it to the goal line. And he did.
Right. We all think he's the second best quarterback in the league. And he's showing it. He needs a Super Bowl, man. If he can just get one. Like Steve got more than one as a member of the team, but as the starter, he got the one, and that erases
everything else.
Any doubt. I don't necessarily think that you need it to erase doubt, but if you have it, it most definitely erases doubt. I think Dan Marino is really good. I think the statues were really good, and there's a number of players that are really good.
Yeah. Allen Iverson.
I'd go Barkley next.
Charles Barkley. Nice. Okay.
Steve Nash.
And you can do NFL quarterbacks with lots of stats, but Matt Ryan, Super Bowl got away.
And Jim Kelly was there. And
Jim Kelly, 4 straight Super Bowls.
But if you get that one, if there's any doubt, whatever they criticize you for, that's out the window. You no longer have to answer for that.
Ask Brett Favre.
Okay.
Ask Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, well, if
they got
I
one.
see them, I will.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and Steve Young is the guy who's got, as a starter, he was on the team for others. And so if Kelly gets it, it'd be cool. I would love to see Buffalo, just for the city of Buffalo.
To finally get it done.
Yeah. And I had a friend that I knew pretty well in college. We've since lost contact, but I mean, he just hardcore.
Buffalo and Detroit in the Super Bowl.
From Buffalo.
Buffalo and Detroit, two clubs that have never won it all in the Super Bowl era.
Well, yeah, you got Detroit, though. The Pistons have won. The Tigers have won.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo's Buffalo.
The city's had.
I'm talking about the city for
right.
Buffalo. If they could, I think that would be cool. Without having a team that I really pull and live and die for, I would like to see Buffalo get it. And then the Wyoming people would go nuts because Josh Allen's one of their own.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone, a weekend full of football. A lot of disappointed Ute and Cougar fans pointing fingers, calling people out. We'll get to that next. Karene Reid joins us at 9:30. Stay with us. Catch First and 12 Sundays from 10 to noon on The Zone. It's brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Get the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your favorite local brands. Macy's, happy shopping. So, PK, you had a tweet that got 250,000 views this weekend. To do that, I think you'd have to have a tweet. Let's see, on a Saturday, it'd have to be about college football. Maybe you could be at a game like at the Utah game, and the Utah coach could say something about the most popular, talked about team in the conference, Colorado, that reflects on the other team that's at the top of the standings, BYU. You'd have to get that matrix. That you'd have to have a quote that encompassed all of those things to get 250,000 people to look at your tweet. And you don't really get them. You put it out there, it's up to other people to retweet it and that, so a gazillion people see it.
Yeah.
And it all happened. Read the tweet.
Well, I'm standing right there.
Post-game? Set the scene.
Yeah,
it's over. 49-24. Colorado's won, and Kyle Whittingham's at the podium.
Yeah.
Talking. And he gets a question about?
I don't even know if I've got a question. Kyle is
was it his opening statement?
It was his opening statement. Oh, yeah. And because he always gives a comprehensive opening statement and then takes questions. And he usually covers so much in his opening statement that you don't really need a whole lot of questions afterward. And he said that he was emphatic that he called Colorado the best team Utah's played this year. And I thought, okay, that's worthy. So I had the phone, and I put it out there, and it got a lot of response from BYU fans that even when they suck, he's petty AF. And that doesn't stand for American fork.
No, it doesn't. In this case, the cavemen are not part of the discussion.
And then the next one, he just hates BYU. And then the next one, Utah may be the worst team Colorado has played this year.
That's good, actually.
That's so he can cover up being worked by an overhyped team. Kyle is sour. Gotta love the pettiness from Go Cougs. BYU will always be running through his head. He will never let it go. Sad.
Of course, when he says this, BYU is still undefeated. Now BYU has a loss. Does this sound quite as crazy? I mean, from
you got to look at his eyes.
From his perspective,
through his eyes,
they played a game that's decided in the last second against BYU, and then Colorado. Honestly, the biggest Ute fan in the world had to think at halftime, "This game's over. We're not winning."
Of course he does, Mr. Petty at his finest. I'm going to start calling him Tom Petty.
Nice. Okay, we're going up there today, right? Hey, Tom Petty. And then he'll look at you funny.
No, I'm not going to bring that up.
No humor now. He's lost
There's
6
no
in a
humor.
row.
No, I'm not. I don't joke with him.
6 straight losses. No humor.
I just try to support. So, yeah. But you're absolutely right in that they took the Cougs down to the wire in a controversial ending and blah, blah, blah.
And Colorado dominated. Even when Colorado made mistakes and turned the ball over deep in their own end, they held Utah to field goals. If Utah just off the good field position scores touchdowns, that's a good game at halftime. And you think it could go either way. But to kick field goals, they're probably down. My guess is they would have been down if everything else goes the same. They're down 21-17 at the half. Now, maybe everything else doesn't go the same, but just play along. I don't have any gripe with the third field goal. They had less than a minute. They got into field goal range. They kicked it. That was a good 2-minute drill. Really, it was like a 48-second drill or something like that. So well done there.
This guy, yeah, go ahead.
But off the Lander Barton interception, they needed a touchdown.
And, gave them some momentum if they could have had it. And instead.
And they had a fumble. They recovered a fumble and were in good field position there. And they needed 7 off that, and they got 3.
This is me that I'll be accused of this in the grave. There you go again, stirring it up, PK.
You're literally sent to Colorado to cover the game. You're supposed to, if you were sitting up there still eating free food when Kyle was talking, you wouldn't be doing your job.
Which they didn't even have it.
What?
They suck.
What?
They gave you a coupon, and I didn't even get the coupon for a hot dog. Well, it's 10 in the morning. I don't want a freaking hot dog.
Your breakfast dog.
And I gotta,
yeah, that's a new
only
thing.
time I eat hot dogs, if they're grilled.
4th of July, off a grill.
If they're grilled.
Off a grill on Memorial Day.
I can,
Labor Day.
99% summer. You're right. But it's got to be grilled. Boiled, gross. Can't do it.
Can you imagine you walked into J-Dogs and asked you, boiled or grilled?
Yeah.
Hey, Yock, would you stop going to J-Dogs if they pulled hot dogs out of boiling water?
Yeah, I'm out. I will not eat a boiled
Yeah, the coupon thing is it's becoming a thing now because that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing at the Utah Hockey Club. Yeah, we do it around here now.
College.
Oh, not at college, no.
Oh, no. The bitter, bleepy coach tried to insult his rival. He needs to retire his old bleep.
Are all these people going to apologize if Colorado wins the conference? I mean, clearly the Utes didn't play anyone in non-conference who should be in this discussion, so it comes down to conference. And they didn't play Iowa State. And they did lose to ASU. It was a kind of a middle ground, right? That was more competitive than Colorado, but not down to the last second like BYU.
Who gives a bleep what a 4-6 coach thinks?
All 250,000 of you who are reacting to this. That's who cares.
Yeah, a lot of BYU fans here. Kyle is a tool. Another guy go after me that I'm just trying to do my thing here, and I mean, I thought it was an interesting thing, and he says it, but you know, from looking at it from his perspective, what's he going to say?
Exactly what he said. I think it's obvious.
I suppose he didn't have to say it, but I don't think he said it with the idea of, I'm going to slam BYU. I don't think he thinks like that.
Well, he's walking off the field after Colorado, and usually coaches now, and you can hear, if you listen to a whole post-game press conference, which I realize many of you people may not want to do, but we have to, coaches routinely, no matter what they're going to complain about, will say, so-and-so team played well, congrats to them. Because they never want to get blasted with the sore loser thing. So they put it in their remarks at some point. It's like a box they're going to check. Hey, credit to them, they played well.
Couldn't be more petty. Maybe true, but he's so obsessed with getting the last word in little digs. It's not original, clever, or funny. He's a sad man.
Okay. All right, BYU fans, beat Colorado and win the conference. Because if Colorado ends up winning this thing.
BYU fans so bent out of shape, they barely beat Utah with the help of a ref.
You knew that was coming. Now, you knew that was coming.
Fox paid him $50K to say that.
Hey, Kyle, here's what we need you to say in postgame.
I don't think Colorado has to be pumped up. They're 8-2. They're pumping themselves up.
Well, we did get hammered, and the team that was undefeated beat us by 1 and lost to a 3-6 team at home. Make it make sense, PK.
It does make sense. Unless you grew up in the rivalry. I didn't tell you this. I got asked by someone, why do you talk about the rivalry like that? And I'm like what? And I'm like, dude, so many people are so passionate in the rivalry. I'm like, well, I wasn't at the bus stop arguing with kids getting rocks thrown at me in the third grade.
Why do you talk about what? Like what?
The rivalry.
Like what, though?
Apparently like I do, without enough passion or something. I mean, I love the game. The game's been wildly entertaining so many times. Twists and turns and right down to the end. I love the game. But I don't talk about it like someone who grew up arguing at recess about it, who got picked on at the bus stop about it, because I didn't.
How about, though, you didn't have a college rival?
That's probably a factor, too.
I did.
But still, the way you talk about the rivalry, I don't think you talk about BYU, Utah the way people up here talk about BYU,
Utah.
Utah.
I try to remain as neutral as possible, though, so I'm not slanted one way or the other.
I get it. I think you do, because I don't think you do care.
What do you mean care? I don't care about the outcome, but I care about the rivalry.
Right, exactly. But other people care about the outcome, and we don't speak about it with the same passion / bitterness.
But the rivalry is beyond the outcome. It's not just the outcome. They didn't even have an outcome for 2 years, and it was still awesome.
There's still back and forth over everything. I think it was when I said I didn't grow up getting rocks thrown at me at the bus stop, and somebody laughed out loud. Like, oh, did I hit too close to the truth there? Does that really happen? Yuck, were people throwing rocks at each other at the bus stop?
No, he's in Utah County, man.
Hey, one of my
parents drove him, didn't even. Did you even ride a school bus?
Oh, I walked to school.
Oh, you walked, yeah.
No, but my best friend through most of elementary and junior high, even into high school, died in the old Utah fan. We had epic arguments between the two of us.
Around here, they walk to school and they walk to church.
There it is.
And I did both, yep.
That was a new one for me up here. When the weather's good, seeing so many people Sunday mornings walking to church.
Mm-hmm. See it.
Didn't have that.
See it in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's going to be interesting this week because I knew growing up in the Phoenix area, obviously, you knew LDS people. You know, there are a lot of them there. But I would say the overwhelming majority that I knew
rooted for ASU, not for BYU.
Yes. Now I'm wondering what they're going to do. I mean,
There's
ASU,
gonna be...
and 90% of the time that I was there, well, actually 100%, when I moved before the Cardinals got there.
So you were there for the glory days when ASU was the biggest football team in town, and more often than not, they were really good. They were never really bad.
Yeah, it was.
But they might have been.
It was ASU football and Suns basketball. That's
what drove it.
Yeah. It was huge, big deal. I mean, 72,000 every week, every home game. Now the stadium's even way less, and they don't sell it out. I assume they will this week.
So you're trying to figure out whether it's going to be 10,000 BYU fans or 20,000 BYU fans. Figuring the swing vote or the swing fan here is how many of the church members in Arizona are going to show up wearing maroon and how many are going to show up wearing blue.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Atlanta. Like I was with BYU at Georgia Tech. Okay. Well, if you're LDS and you like football, probably go to the game. Even if you don't root for BYU or Georgia Tech, you probably, if you got an opportunity to go, it's something to do on a Saturday afternoon, blah, blah, blah. Well, now here, you got a lot of LDS people that live in the Phoenix area, and they've lived there their whole lives, and they went to ASU, and they've been ASU fans. I had somebody tell me that I know somebody who lives over there. I don't want to tell you on the air, but I can tell you off. But anyway, they were joking that their son just had a boy. He lives in Boise now, right, for work purposes. And they named him Malcolm Scattaboo Dillingham, and then their last name.
Malcolm Scattaboo.
Because they're all excited.
Yep.
We've sucked for a good while. Herm and Pierce drove it literally as far as you could drive it, short of the death penalty, but they don't have that anymore, right? And just in year 2, no less, we all figured year 3, year 4.
Right,
you figured year progress,
2.
and then year 4, you're ready to go.
They are, as people like to say, ahead of schedule.
This is a bigger story than Dion. Dion will get the Joel Klatts and the Mark Joneses of the world. They'll pump that up because they have some bias toward him. But he's got 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah. Plus, he's Dion. And you can't underestimate that.
Yeah.
The dude's been a celebrity for 30, 40 years.
Yes.
So, of course, he's a celebrity now.
So which is a better underdog story? It's over here.
ASU with the 34-year-old guy. Dion was a celebrity before Dillingham was born. Let that sink in. But Dion was a celebrity in the 80s.
So if you're any form of a Devil fan, you're bouncing off the roof right now. But I'm wondering what's going to be the noise level when good things happen? Because the good things will happen to both teams in the course of a game. Something you're not going to get. Neither team, I don't think, is going to run off and just dominate from the opening kick to the end. And so I'm interested in hearing the noise. What's going to be the noise? I think we're going to see a fair amount of blue. There's no question about it. This is BYU. I've been on the road with them
10,000
for too long. I would think so.
More. I think 10's the guarantee. The question is whether it's 15 or 20.
I mean, I've been in both L.A. stadiums, the Rose Bowl and the Coliseum, and they had 15. Now,
more people,
but it's
bigger stadiums.
And stadium, they have access. I heard that secondary tickets to this game were going on for over $300 already.
Hey now.
Yeah.
And they were not going for $300 when they put those crowds in USC and UCLA's stadiums.
I wouldn't think so.
No. All right, DJ and PK coming up next. Karene Reid joins us, Ute linebacker. Stay with us. He's right around the corner right here on The Zone.
Accessing. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Joining us now, Ian Fitzsimmons.
Hans, Crazy Wings, George's. Did you hit it?
I didn't get to hit it, man. We ended up at the Brazos Grill. I got their chicken fried steak, but they did have these thing called the armadillo balls at the Brazos River that was really good, but it's not the Crazy Wing.
Can you go ahead and just lift hands saying they did have these things called armadillo balls, which were really good?
I feel like Chevy Chase in the movie Funny Farm.
You polish off that plate and you break the record.
Stand back, everybody. The record falls tonight.
Now, there's a man who knows when he's got something good in his mouth.
On that mic drop, bam, done.
Catch Hanson Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're joined once again by Utah linebacker Karene Reid. Karene, good morning.
Good morning, you guys. How's it going?
It's going well for us. Feels a little bit like Groundhog Day for you, I suppose. Have you ever been on a team the last 6 in a row, or is this a new experience for you? Because I'm thinking it's a new experience.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a new experience for me. Just uncharted territory for me and for a lot of these seniors on this team.
I was at the game, and I really enjoy, you probably didn't, but I enjoy watching Shedeur Sanders play quarterback. I like my quarterbacks who try to extend plays and aren't looking to bolt the pocket and take off at the first sign of pressure. How was it from your perspective trying to chase him around, because it looked like it was a big-time challenge?
Yeah. Credit to him. He's a great quarterback. It almost reminded me of the old Pac-12 days, chasing quarterbacks around like that. But, he was scrambling not to look to run, but to look to extend the play and then throw the ball down the field. And so definitely tested us as far as our ability to rush and also how long we could cover. And so credit to him once again, and he did a great job.
You know, the defense has had a lot of good games. I know it's not just about defensive stats, right? You got a whole team has to come together to win a game, but 49 points is far and away the most points that the Utes have given up this year. How much of that is the cumulative of the losing streak and getting behind the game and knowing how it was going to go? And how much of that is Colorado's got a really good offense and you haven't faced anybody with firepower like that?
Yeah, I think that's hard to say. First of all, credit to them. They got a lot of strength, especially in their skill position, their wideouts, their quarterback. But I still believe that our defense plays as hard as we can till the end of the whistle, till the end of the season, at every single game. And so I think just credit to them and the combination of all of those things that you said.
You need to win these next 2 ball games to get bowl eligible, obviously. How much would that mean?
Oh, man, it would mean so much. I mean, you only get X amount of games in your career at Utah, and to be able to have one last game would be great. It mean a lot to me. So that's the goal.
You got Iowa State at home. Have you watched Iowa State a lot this year? Are you starting brand? I mean, there's so many Big 12 games to watch. Even when you have a night game and you can watch games all day, you might not get to the Iowa State game for one reason or another. Have you watched them much?
I haven't watched them too much. I think I've seen them on TV maybe towards the beginning of the season, but I'm very aware of their record and their ability to win games, and so I'm excited for the challenge and to start studying them.
This is it for you, your last home game, you will walk out of that tunnel in Rice-Eccles Stadium. I'm guessing you can't believe it, because seniors tend to say that and everybody says that when you look back in the middle of it, it may seem like it's dragging, but when it's over and you look back, you think, wow, it really went fast. What do you think your emotions will be?
Oh, I think I'm going to be very emotional. I guess I didn't really process that this would be my last home game. I've been thinking, 2 games left, maybe 3, but to hear you say that for sure strikes me hard, man.
Well, I don't want to break it to you, so I'm sorry that I did that.
No, it's all good.
So as a leader, when you talk to the defense about what you have to do, because you can't do 49 points again and get bowl eligible, what do you say? What's the message to the other guys on defense when you're talking to them when it's just the players, just the guys?
Just keeping it 100% real, attacking the problems, not the players. Just watching the film and calling it how it is. We got to look at our mistakes and work on fixing them, and nobody can get in their feelings or emotions, and we just don't have time for that. So just addressing the problems, focusing on them and fixing them and moving forward.
Did you know during the week that Isaac's playing availability might be in doubt because he was sick?
I did, yes. I know he was going up and down as far as his illness, so we were just
ready to play regardless and hoping for the best for him.
Have you ever been through as many game time quarterback decisions as you've been through this year? It seems like this is happening semi-regularly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Last year we definitely had a couple in the beginning until Cam announced that he was done, but this year for sure has been just a roller coaster, and it's definitely caused me to focus more on my assignment and our defense and what we can control.
No excuses and all, but, when Cam was healthy the 2 years, you won the title, and then when he wasn't, and not just that he wasn't, but that he might play, he might not play, how much do you think it has an effect on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said it didn't affect the team, especially a player or leader of that caliber is just so valuable as far as the emotion of the team, the mindset of the team. And so, yeah, it's definitely been tough, but like you said, no excuses. This is the cards that we've been dealt, and we got to figure it out.
I always ask players, and players always get asked about after a big win, a dramatic win, is the phone blowing up? And some of the responses are just hilarious. I mean, the answer is yes, but the way the yes gets delivered is hilarious. What is the response like when times are tough and you go to your phone after a game? Are you hearing from people? You got high school teammates reaching out to you, or is it just crickets?
Man, that's when you find out who your real friends are, right? Your real friends and your real family are the ones that reach out when you lose. But it's easy to reach out to somebody when they win or playing great, and yeah, of course your phone will blow up when things are going well.
Now, you play this rugged game. You're a linebacker. You're tough. You're in there scratching, clawing, fighting, all that stuff. But I think, Karene, at heart, you're just a softy, romantic dude who plans a wedding proposal in the canyons, I think, above American Fork, and has it all set up where she's looking and then turns around, and there you are on one knee. Is this true?
You got me, man. Yeah, it's a true story. And I don't like to bring that up when we're talking football, but since you did, yes, it is true.
And what's the reaction? Putting stuff out on social media is pretty risky. I mean, PK's been reading some social media this morning to me in the breaks. That's a crazy place out there.
Yeah, I know. I agree. You can't hide. You can't hide on social media.
But you let the cameras in your home, and I don't remember what the feed was, but I saw it. Your wife, I think she moved down from Oregon or something, moved in the ward. So she moves in. You scope her out right away and say, hey, I got to get next to that. How'd that work?
Yeah, no, just exactly that. Like what was said on the video, they moved in and got to know her, and the rest was history. The media team really set me up, making me look like a softie out there, and there's no going back now.
So was there some competition? Did you use your strength and your physical prowess to maybe, metaphorically elbow some nerd geek dudes out of the way to make sure you were first in line?
I did what I had to do. Let's just say that.
I did what I had.
Is that Reid's strength?
Oh, man. All right, Karene. Well, we appreciate a few minutes. Good luck against Iowa State. Enjoy that last run out of the tunnel, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you. Always appreciate you guys.
All right. Karene Reid joining us here. I did what I had to do. That's funny.
Got to make your move, man. That's like a ball carrier right there, man. You got to scope it out. You got to get to the point of contact. Anybody gets in the way, you just got to run them over.
Got to be assignment sound.
He scoped it out.
My
he scouted out the competition.
Is to get across this room and go talk to her.
And it worked, and here they are married and have a child and all that stuff.
And I love the other thing he said. The social media team made me look like a softie.
I know. I teared up when I was watching it.
Tough linebacker. Wrecking the image, man.
Yeah. There you go on that one.
That's funny. A little breaking news here that will matter to some people a lot, and to you probably a little, PK. But ESPN and TNT have cut a deal. They are going to be sharing resources and programming. The TNT Studio Basketball Show, which many people were lamenting the end of Inside the NBA, is going to air on ESPN. And they're trading a lot of stuff back and forth. That's one thing I think will matter to some of our listeners. And the other thing is, in exchange, TNT is going to get ESPN's rights to Big 12 football and basketball games. 13 Big 12 football games and 15 men's basketball games each season. So we'll be seeing Big 12 sports, possibly, potentially, probably, the Utes and the Cougars on Turner. There you go.
On Turner, so ESPN will give Turner games to broadcast.
Mm-hmm. And they're also licensing a lot of basketball, chance to do a lot of the shoulder programming, special stuff, both nationally and internationally. So there's a lot into it. They're going to get to telecast NBA games to Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden. I don't think that impacts us. Along with Poland and Latin America, Brazil and Mexico for the next 11 years. But there's money to be made overseas, so to the companies, it's a big deal, even if it doesn't impact us that much.
At the pro ranks?
That's at the pro ranks, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But I think the thing that matters here is there are people who like the studio show. It's going to continue. And because it's licensed, I guess the guys don't have to leave because, ESPN could hire them all. Well, Ernie isn't going to leave because he's been with Turner his whole life, and he's a legacy hire because his dad was there.
But those guys are getting older, too.
There's that, too. It's not going to go on forever. It's going to go on for a while. And what matters here is the Big 12 sports.
I'm all about the competition. I rarely watch that show.
Watch the studio shows. The problem for studio shows is there's so many games on, you can only watch so much. There was a time in my life when I watched more studio shows, but I just watch a lot less of them now because there's always another game to watch, and you can only watch so much. You got other stuff going on in your life, but we've talked about it here. There have been Saturdays here with college football, multiple teams we have to watch, and the Jazz play and the hockey club play. All of a sudden, you literally can't watch 4 screens at once and keep track of everything.
No, but I prioritize.
You do.
What's
Sure.
the hottest in the moment? And
Yep.
college football.
College football
is the hottest
peaking.
in the moment.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to watch that, and
Right.
then you could be aware of
the other stuff.
And
there's ways to get up to speed even if you don't watch a game live. Way more than there used to be. So,
well, that's where I go to the
clips on social medias,
the
websites.
specific channels, like NBA TV,
Mm-hmm.
MLB TV.
NHL has their own one.
Yes, I've stopped ESPN. I don't watch ESPN except for the games.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they had that college football poll thing like they have on Tuesday, I watched that.
Yeah.
But then I've gone strictly toward the network shows, MLB, NBA TV, NFL TV.
Well, that way, whatever the important story is to you, you don't have to wade through the other stuff. You get right to, and everything is just turning into a niche. More niche programming. Niche.
Well, they're good niches.
Yeah, right. But why would you watch a show that's juggling 3 or 4 sports when you can
And I
watch
guess
one?
If Ernie and those guys, a lot of times their offspring down the line, 20 years from now, they'll be doing it. So,
Well, it's literally Ernie's dad worked there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, I'm watching Sons of Niches.
Nice. Long build up to get there, but it was almost worth the payoff. Sons of Niches. Next.
Right. So Ernie Sr. was a broadcaster?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's shocking.
It really is. Not.
Shaq's kids, they'll do it. Does Kenny the Jet got any kids?
I'm sure it does.
I think Barkley only has a daughter.
Yeah.
So we went and we get a.
I remember
something
something about Kenny the Jet going to see one of his kids play. And something tells me he has a boy and a girl, but I'm not sure.
But the Barkley thing, the one good thing I'll say about Charles, I mean, there's plenty of good things, but the one specific thing, the reason why I like him, he's a goofball and he's funny and all that. I get all that. But the one thing I really, really appreciated out of him is he is willing to call a spade, even if it means he's ruffling feathers. A lot of ex-jocks, they want to be buddies.
He's ruffled feathers with it. I mean, he's lost his friendship with Michael Jordan.
And that's
because
historic.
I know. Right.
Yeah.
And that's not all, though, but there's other times with teams and individual
Jordan
players.
sucked as an owner.
I know.
His teams, you're judged by your record at the pro, well,
and they
a lot
never,
of levels now.
They never got it right. They rarely even got it mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be it. And he's not willing to say anything that isn't obvious. It's just that he's willing to say it. He says what we're all thinking anyway.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys, they want to protect. Like you listen to these ex-coaches. Every coach who coaches is a great coach.
We are waiting for the first coach to say that coach really needs to be fired.
Or
That's
not necessarily
a disaster.
fired, just he didn't coach a good game.
Yeah. He blew it with that call.
Yeah, right.
That was
but they never say
That was
it.
a terrible use of his timeouts. I don't know what he's doing.
No ex-coach who's a commentator will say it. It just won't.
DJ and PK, your feedback coming up next. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here. Don't go nowhere.
Join JJ and Alex Tuesday from 3 to 6 at the Beaumont Assisted Living and Memory Care in Bountiful, 1150 South Main Street, or visit BeaumontAssistedLiving.com. Time for your feedback. The news that Big 12 is going to be on TNT. Cheese Fry says, remember when BYU and Big 12 fans made fun of the Pac-12 and to talk to networks like TNT about broadcasting its games?
I don't.
No reason to make fun of TNT broadcasting games. They've had the NBA forever, NHL, MLB. That's a good home for sports. They do a ton of sports. They'll probably do it well.
Well,
They
I
can
think
pick up Big 12
anywhere that
games.
has distribution is a good home for sports.
That's basic thing number one right there, right?
Yeah.
And number two, but you got a history of doing it. Like, they're not going to mess it up.
Oh, they're fine.
I know, exactly. And people know where it is. I think it's fine. We're hardcore. We're going to find it. But there's a decent chance casual fans will find games on TNT. And, you want the ratings to be up because it leads the next contract, blah, blah, blah. I think TNT
that's their business. I want the game on TV if I want to watch it. I don't care where it is.
TNT getting into college sports is the way they've got to go.
I mean, I know March, I turn on
out.
True TV because I watch NCAA.
And they have some sports there. They're making True TV more and more sports.
Great.
They're adding more sports
Just
to
don't
it.
give me the Pac-12 network or the Mountain, and
With
I can't
a poor
get it.
distribution, right? And TNT's got that solved. The only thing that's surprising me about the deal is that it's only 13 football games and only 15
Well, it's for
basketball
now.
games. Yeah, for now. Especially basketball. There's so many games. Put more of them out there. You have double headers. Back-to-back Big 12 games. Best lead into Big 12 basketball is Big 12 basketball.
That was what was sad about the Pac-12. Now, I ended up buying Comcast so I can get the Pac-12, so I did have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a decent product that never got to its
it was.
due.
The quality of the broadcast was good.
And the studio shows and they would do other things that they'd have top 10 running backs in the conference, what have you. That was my conference. I watched all that stuff. And a lot of the guys they interviewed, I knew personally because they'd interview media guys. And I worked in 2 media markets in the conference.
A downer of a Saturday as Utah and BYU each lose. Where do they go from here? Fans weighing in. Narth Fader. Utah does BYU no favors, and they continue to lose. Scattabooyah! The Devils win. He's ready.
Did he put in the booyah?
Uh-huh, he did. Yeah,
Nice.
BOOYAH with an exclamation point. Harry at No Socks Johnny says, I wouldn't call that a downer at all. I call that a fantastic weekend.
No.
He's an Aggie. The Aggies loved it. Utes lost, Cougars lost, Aggies won.
I was pulling for both of them. And not that it matters, both of them lost.
Garrett, who's got a Cosmo with the BYU hat on avatar. We go to Tempe on Saturday to secure our spot in the Big 12 championship game. That is where we go from here.
Well, if they do it, then great. Then really, who cares about last week's loss?
It is.
But you're playing a team.
Right.
You'd rather have the Devils be 2-8. Like Colorado closes at home with Oklahoma State.
Yay.
Yeah. Right.
Ben, forward. BYU to a possible Big 12 championship. Utah to a possible and unlikely upset. Yeah, Utah upsetting Iowa State seems unlikely right now.
Agreed, but I don't think it's impossible.
I would agree with that. Iowa State has not played great football the last month. They were 7-0, lost a couple. Now they just won one.
And we'll hear it today, Kyle. We got to send the seniors out right. Mm-hmm. And the opportunity to go bowl eligible doesn't seem much. He ain't going to be screaming two words if they win these last 2 games. That's for sure.
No.
But it's something to play for. You got to have something to play for, and they've got it.
Get to a bowl game, see if you can have a winning season.
Yeah, and you fans, you better show up. Don't just show up in the good times. You had plenty of good times. They need you now.
Sing it.
It's senior night. So get your butts out there. If you got tickets, and it's not going to be 8:30, what's at 5:30,
Got the third TV window, not the fourth one.
That's not too bad.
There's no late game. There's no 8 o'clock kicks. I was surprised by that.
Well, that's good because I am going to be partying hard after the Devils win. No, I got to be ambivalent about this game. I'm just kidding.
DJ and PK, we're all done. Jake and Ben are coming up next right here on The Zone.